Without objection, the tellers will dispense with reading formal
I wonder if
portions of the certificate. Without objection, the tellers will dispense with reading formal portions of the certificates. After ascertaining that the certificates are regular in form and authentic, the tellers will announce the votes cast by the electors for each state, beginning with Alabama.
Yo, Eric! What's up, Eric? Thank you for the tier 1, Eric. Wow, woohoo, another real lecture fan stream. Yes, Eric, this is a real
Madam
one.
President,
This is a real one, Eric.
The certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Alabama seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 9 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 9 votes for vice president. Who's this?
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Alaska seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 3 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 3 votes for vice president.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Arizona seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 11 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 11 votes for vice president.
Did they really just sit there and do this for a half hour? Like, how boring.
Authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of
Florida received 19
votes for vice president.
Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance of
the state of follows. The whole
25.
The state of the vote for the President of the United States, as delivered to the President of the Senate, is as follows. The whole number of the electors appointed to vote for President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, the majority is 270. The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes. Kamala D. Harris
She literally gavelled down the Trump supporters, the people that were voting for Trump. She literally gavelled down the Trump.
Kamala D. Harris of the state of California has received 226 votes. The whole number of electors appointed to vote for Vice President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, a majority is 270. The votes for Vice President of the United States are as follows. J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio has received 312 votes.
Oh, J.D. Vance was there too for it? Nice.
Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota has received 226 votes.
Right, Eric. Right, Eric.
This announcement of the state of the vote by the President of the Senate shall be deemed a sufficient declaration of the persons elected President and Vice President of the United States, each for a term beginning on the 20th day of January 2025, and shall be entered together with the list of the votes on the journals of the House and the Senate. Thank you very much. The purpose of the joint Senate having been...
Dude, that's just crazy, man. Wow. So Trump's election was certified. There was no January 6th 2.0. There was no January 6th today. January 6th didn't happen. Oh wait. It is January 6th right now. January 6th is a date, not an event, not a thing of history. For the first time this century, Democrats don't challenge GOP president's electoral votes. That's amazing. That's a crazy story. For the first time this century, Democrats don't challenge GOP president's electoral votes. Democrats did not object to the Electoral College count of a Republican president for the first time in a century, making President-elect Donald Trump the official winner of the 2024 election. Vice President Kamala Harris certified Trump's win in a joint session of Congress. The vote was 312 to 226. There were 0 objections to any state slate of electors. Before Monday, Democrats have objected to the election of every Republican president since 2001. Democrats tried to block Bush's vote in 2001. In 2005, Democrats challenged the vote in Congress. In 2017, Democrats tried to object to the vote multiple times. That's hilarious. Classic. Classic.
If it's Monday, Congress officially certifies Donald Trump's election victory, with Vice President Harris presiding over her own loss 4 years after pro-Trump rioters.
Has there ever been a VP that didn't get elected in the Electoral College? I don't know. I don't think so. Fighter killer, tactician, American patriot, Eric's, everybody's here. At least people are not storming the Capitol. I agree. That's great that people are not storming the Capitol. I think you'd have to go back to when the loser of the race became VP, the election of 1800. Oh, that's right.
Stormed the Capitol in an attempt to overturn his loss. Plus, President Biden is set to arrive in New Orleans minutes from now to grieve with families impacted by last week's deadly terror attack on Bourbon Street, as new disturbing details emerge in the investigation. And Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announces his resignation, marking a political turning point for one of America's closest allies and biggest trading partners amid President-elect Trump's threats of a trade war.
Dude, that's so crazy. The timing of Trudeau having to resign. You guys think that's coincidental with the fact that Trump is taking over? Huh, I wonder.
Welcome to Meet the Press Now. I'm Gabe Gutierrez in a very snowy Washington that's all but shut down, except for Congress, which met today to certify President-elect Trump's election victory as he returns to power 4 years after rioters stormed the Capitol in an attempt to keep him in power. Unlike January 6, 2021, today's proceedings in a joint session of Congress were a peaceful and normal bureaucratic and ceremonial exercise, with Vice President Harris presiding over her electoral defeat with no objections from either chamber to the electoral count.
Oh, you're not going to mention the fact that that's the first time that's happened since Democrats haven't objected to a Republican in 25 years? You're not going to mention that the Democrats always objected, and this how unique that is that Democrats didn't object? Not going to mention that? Huh, weird.
The moment of certification from the House floor.
Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes. Kamala D. Harris Kamala D. Harris of the state of California has received 226 votes.
Of course, that's a major contrast to the atmosphere in Washington 4 years ago when the former president riled up his supporters with a speech on the White House ellipse, urging them to march to the Capitol to fight like hell, which some did. According to aides who testified to the January 6th committee, Trump watched the turmoil unfold on television, rejecting pleas to call off the mob, waiting hours before finally telling them to go home. With Trump now returning to the White House, President Biden is urging Americans not to forget or whitewash that day. Here's what he told reporters last night.
You know, 4 years ago, January 6th, this Capitol was attacked by a violent mob. If you come over to the Oval before I leave, I'll show you the room that the former president sat in for 3.5 hours watching what was going on television, a small dining room off the Oval Office. And our democracy is really literally put to the test. And thankfully, our democracy held. Now it's your duty to tell the truth, to remember what happened. And
our democracy. By the way, did you guys see Chief Justice John Roberts recently wrote about our republic and what we need to do to protect our republic?
I'll let January 6th be rewritten or even erased. To honor the Constitution, not only the most extraordinary of days, but it's one of the toughest days in American history, January 6th.
In contrast, President-elect Trump has sought to absolve himself of all blame for the attack on the Capitol, going as far as to call January 6th a day of love. He's also promising pardons on his first day in office to defendants accused or convicted of crimes related to January 6th. NBC News obtained a letter from former Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio, who's serving 22 years in federal prison after being convicted of seditious conspiracy, requesting a pardon from Trump. On Meet the Press yesterday, the new Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, who back in 2021 called the attack on the Capitol, quote, thuggery and inexcusable, deferred to the president-elect on the matter of pardons.
That's ultimately going to be a decision that President Trump is going to have to make. And, you know, what I'm focused on is the future and not looking in the rearview mirror, but looking in the windshield and what we have to do. I think you learn from the past, you remember the past, but you live in the present and the future.
As the majority leader in the Senate, though, what message do you think it would send to give pardons to people who pleaded guilty to attacking police officers who stormed this building 4 years ago?
Well, look, I mean, again, it's ultimately going to be a decision that the President of the United States, the pardon authority exists with him.
And with me now is our team of reporters, NBC News senior Capitol Hill correspondent Garrett Haake, NBC News Justice reporter Ryan Riley, and NBC News reporter Gary Grumbach.
What a joke these people are.
Thank you all so much for joining me. Garrett, I want to start with you. Take us inside the chamber. What was the mood like as Congress certified the election under that cloud of January 6th 4 years ago?
It wasn't under a cloud of January 6th 4 years ago, you lunatic. There was no cloud today. This was a celebration of wow, these people are sick.
Yeah, I think the memory of what happened here 4 years ago was still present, Gabe, in part because of the layers of security members had to go through just to get into the chamber. The fence is back up outside the Capitol, something that didn't exist 4 years ago, but it was constructed after the fact. There was an enormous police presence here inside the complex as well, with officers from as far away as New York City here to supplement the Capitol Police and the security that they have been planning for essentially around this moment for years. Inside the chamber, you got a little glimpse of it in your open there, part celebratory when each candidate or each party was able to cheer their candidate claiming a certain state along the way. And I think a little bit of Democratic side, a little bit of kind of ruining what could have been and what was in that chamber. You heard a little bit of dampened enthusiasm.
I can't believe that this trash.
Two weeks to go until Joe Biden's national nightmare of a presidency is over. And the big guy isn't hiding the fact that he's bitter and angry at the world that shunned him. But it's really no wonder why he's upset. His legacy's in tatters. Hunter's foreign cash pipeline's about to dry up. His entire party blames him for Democrats' November thumping, with Kamala certifying those results in Congress today. And the Trump train's about to undo every one of his policies. So now Biden's throwing temper tantrums, lashing out at his successor as a threat to democracy and snapping at reporters, lecturing them about his 50-year resume in global affairs. Watch.
Do you still believe he's a threat to democracy?
I think what he did was a genuine threat to democracy. I'm hopeful that we're beyond that. My being the oldest president, I know more world leaders than any one of you ever met in your whole life. And I know them, and I know how they think.
I love this Biden clip. This guy is such a dirtball.
Not a joke.
Meanwhile, Democrats and their media cheerleaders are swearing up and down that
she didn't see it, Eric. She didn't see it, Eric.
About Joe Biden's obvious decline.
My gosh, these people are pathetic, man. Holy cow! I can't even watch Fox News. It's so just
powerful incentive for members of Congress to come together and work constructively in a unified way as a team to get some of these things done. And yes, it'd be ideal if you could do it bipartisan.
And we're joined by Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi. It's so good to see you here in person.
My pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Can't believe she's still in Congress. She looks terrible. Oh, man.
Issue. If we do something on taxes, that traditionally has been in the past. The Democrats did it twice while they had the majority in the last.
Big issues on party line votes. Aren't you concerned that will blow up your chances at working with Democrats on some of those bigger immigration issues or bigger policies?
Since when are we wanting to work with Democrats or have Democrats? Since when are we wanting to work with Democrats? Unfortunately, you have to, I guess. Yo, Chocolate, what's up? Flex on random reporter. Right, Chocolate. All I do is like bring up like little clips of like reporters and then just be like, oh my gosh, this guy's so stupid. Turn it off. That's all I do on stream usually. All right, Eric, sounds good. John Thune. Is there a cleaner politician than John Thune? Boy, that guy's clean, isn't he? Oh, I mean, Biden was flexing. Yeah. Oh, right, Chocolate. Right. I thought you were talking about I was flexing on the reporters for talking about how I couldn't deal with it anymore. No, yeah, Biden. I've met more world leaders than you ever have. Gosh darn it. I don't even want to say what he said, honestly. What a dirtball Joe Biden is. Calm down, Joe Biden. Quit acting so like you're so cool and so great. You're horrible. You're going to go down as a fail.
Cartels, etc.
Do you know they're members of terrorist organizations?
Sure. Yeah, they've been. Well, I'm saying they've been apprehended.
Okay.
We know that there are almost 300 that have been apprehended that are on the terrorist watch list.
Right.
And I think if they're apprehended.
So she's literally trying to pretend like there's not a single terrorist that's in the United States. She's serious?
That many.
Dude, these reactions to the Sunday shows are gold. I mean, how am I not like getting more views on these? These are gold. Just kidding. I get a kick out of them, though.
Moving in a way consistent with the way the Senate functions and works, that gets these folks an opportunity to be voted on in the Senate.
I want to ask you about what you need to get done.
So, in other words, if we don't have most of Trump's people confirmed in the first couple of weeks here, then yeah, we're going to allow recess appointments. That's what the answer to that needs to be.
In terms of providing the president with the funding.
Moving in a way consistent with the way the Senate functions and works, that gets the
consistent with the way the Senate functions and works. We don't care crap about your little things. Get Trump's nominees across the finish line. I guess I'll watch Ben Shapiro. It seems like the only thing decent to watch right now.
Well, folks, we are back. It is a brand new year. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas and a wonderful New Year's, and now it all begins. So, this is going to be a very big year. President Trump is slated to be certified as the President of the United States today. The normal certification process will go through as planned in the Congress of the United States, and he will also have his Speaker of the House. So President Trump had endorsed Speaker of the House Mike Johnson for re-election. There were, as usual, a coterie of people who were very concerned about Mike Johnson as Speaker of the House. As I have been saying,
did my stream?
For, I don't know, years at this point. It turns
no. Oh, did Trudeau give a speech? No, I haven't seen Trudeau yet. Did my stream just drop? No, did Justin Trudeau give a thing? I'll watch that.
We're seeing Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau step up to the microphone now. Let's listen in.
Gosh, this guy's been I don't know how this guy can sleep at night, just being a dirtball of the highest order.
Bon matin. Every morning I've woken up as Prime Minister. I've been inspired by the resilience, the generosity, and the determination of...
What a complete lie. Why would you start out with just an obvious lie every morning? Come on, bro. Nobody believes that crap.
Canadians. It is the driving force of
Rylan, what's up,
Rylan?
Rylan?
Day I have the privilege of serving in this office. That is why, since 2015...
Oh, Josh Shapiro's horrible,
I've fought for this country. For you.
You haven't fought for jack crap, dude.
Strengthen and grow the middle class. Why we rallied to support each other through the pandemic, to advance reconciliation, to defend free trade on this continent, to stand strong with Ukraine and our democracy, and to fight climate change and get our economy ready for the future.
Boy, he looks horrible, doesn't he? What's wrong with him? Looks like he's got meth mouth.
You all know I'm a fighter. Every bone in my body has always told me to fight because I care deeply about Canadians. I care deeply about this country, and I will always be motivated by what is in the best interest of Canadians.
BS. This guy is such a liar.
Despite best efforts to work through it, Parliament has been paralyzed for months after what has been the longest session of a minority parliament in Canadian history. That's why this morning I advised the Governor-General that we need a new session of Parliament. She has granted this request, and the House will now be prorogued until March 24th. Over the holidays, I've also had a chance to reflect and have had long talks with my family about our future. Throughout the course of my career, any success I have personally
I would.
achieved
That would suck, though.
has been because of their support and with their encouragement. So last night over dinner, I told my kids about the decision that I'm sharing with you today. I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process. Last night, I asked the President of the Liberal Party to begin that process. This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election. A new Prime Minister and leader of the Liberal Party will carry its values and ideals into that next
He honestly just seems so defeated. I don't know why. It's like, dude, you've been Prime Minister for 10 years. Like, have a little bit more of an upbeat attitude on your resignation. Like, what happened here? But something's bad happened to this guy. It seems like why is he so downcast?
I'm excited to see the process unfold in the months ahead.
He's like almost going to cry.
We were elected for the third time in 2021 to strengthen the economy post-pandemic and advance Canada's interests in a complicated world. And that is exactly the job that I and we will continue to do for Canada.
You haven't done that, dude. You're leaving behind a destroyed country. Nobody can afford to live in your country. It's a wiped out, hollowed out country. What is this guy talking about?
Canadians. Merci beaucoup, mes amis.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We'll now go to questions, starting with Laurence Martin, Radio-Canada.
Bonjour, Monsieur Trudeau. Vous vouliez le faire, ce combat contre Pierre.
Yeah, so that's why he's so downcast, Prola. So he's just been an absolute punching bag, not only for Not only by his party and Canadians, but by everybody in America, too. Like, everybody's been making fun of this guy and attacking this guy and criticizing this guy nonstop for years. So I guess, like, yeah, I can see why he's sad.
Des batailles internes, il y en a dans votre parti depuis plusieurs mois déjà. Pourquoi est-ce que vous décidez d'abdiquer maintenant? Qu'est-ce qui vous a fait changer?
Why did you decide to resign now after all the squabbles in the party over the past months? I'm not somebody who recoils easily before such enormous challenges before the party and the country. Because I'm doing this job in the interests of Canadians in Canada. And
why does he have to keep saying that when it's such an obvious lie?
Which I cherish. But I realize that I cannot be the leader in the next elections.
All right, I want to bring in CNN's Paula Newton.
His deputy prime minister resigned a few weeks ago. Wow.
And West Palm Beach. Paula, first
right, 1927 Thesis, yeah.
Justin Trudeau stepping down, resigning as the leader of the Liberal Party in Canada. He's been at the helm there for 11 years. Is this a case of Trudeau jumping before he's pushed?
Absolutely, 100%. And he basically said so in the last few moments there that we heard from him. He said, look, I can't possibly fight what will be an incredibly difficult election campaign for a government that's almost a decade old if I have to continually fight these internal battles. Now, look, there have been a long list of scandals as well as some achievements that he outlined there. But again, so many members of his own government coming to him and saying, we don't believe that you can beat Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre in the next election, an election that has to be held by the end of the year. And Pam, as I've been saying all morning, stop me when this sounds familiar. This really leaves his party in a tough squeeze. The polls already indicate that they are more than 20 percentage points behind, and now they're going to have this succession battle, and it will be rough with a lot of different people putting their hat in the ring. In the meantime, you have President-elect Trump coming into office. I don't have to remind you, in 2 weeks, threatening 25% tariffs.
Yeah, I agree, Terrence. It's fantastic to have Justin Trudeau resign in disgrace. And even though it's like it's been building and he's been in prime minister for 10 years and everything else, I guarantee you that what tipped this over the edge here was Donald Trump's blowout victory when the other people in Trudeau's party were like, oh crap, look at what Trump just did. Yeah, Trudeau's going to get absolutely smashed, especially with the American president just absolutely attacking him nonstop for the next year. It's like, at least with a new leader, like, they won't be under attack by Trump like this guy would have been. Rylan, I've seen so many videos of people walking up to him making fun of him. Really? People walking up to Justin Trudeau and making fun of him? Haven't seen very many videos of that. I mean, you start to feel bad for him if people are being rude to him and disrespectful to him, but I hope that's not happening. Canada is now free. Not quite, but a step closer for sure. Hot shot. That's hilarious. I was on vacation on the beach last week, kept the news off. Was this foreseen? I'm sure it was foreseen by some people. Certainly it wasn't like in the mainstream foreseen. Harris looks so melancholy today. It's the first time she has had to work in 3.5 years. Yeah, no kidding, right, guys? Canadian Liberals that's what it sounds like, Eric. So are the Conservatives in Canada actually going to win? That'd be amazing, right? Wow, Pierre Poilievre, Prime Minister of Canada. That'd be great. He could work great with Trump, wouldn't he?
On all Canadian goods imported into the United States. It is a tall order by any stretch. He will stay to be a
I agree, it is odd chocolate.
Prime Minister, but also Parliament will not be sitting, and that'll be interesting because it means that no government business can basically get done. It's really just governing on an emergency basis, if you will. Again, a lot of moving parts here. I will add.
Whoa, Miss Man with the primer. 42 months. Good to see you again, lecture. Yo, thank you, Miss Man. Holy cow, been a while. Thank you for the primer. How you been?
Canada just assumed the G7 presidency at the beginning of 2025. G7 meeting supposed to happen in Alberta, Canada.
Fair point, Altair.
In June, a lot on the plate here, and the Prime Minister really putting a personal touch on this, saying that, look, I had a
President-elect Trump is claiming that President Biden is making the White House transition difficult. I want you to listen to this. This is Trump. Listen to this.
They'll do everything they can to make it as difficult as possible. You know, they talk about a transition. They're always saying, oh, no, we want to have a smooth transition from party to party, from, you know, of government. Well, they're making it really difficult. They're throwing everything they can in the way.
I want to bring in CNN's Caitlin Collins. She's covering all of this for us. Caitlin, how is the president-elect...
Ooh, my favorite CNN reporter, Caitlin Collins. Yay!
...reacting to this specific day, and why is he saying what he just said?
Well, Wolf, I'll note that comment there from Trump stands in pretty stark contrast to obviously his own actions 4 years ago that are the reason today got so much coverage. Typically, it was a day in elections.
Are you kidding me? And she goes right to January 6, 2021, too. These people won't shut up about January 6, 2021. Don't they learn their lessons after election results ever? Unreal.
Passed that didn't warrant a lot of attention, but because of what happened 4 years ago and Trump's effort to make the transition process quite difficult, to say the least, are the reason that there was such a reflection on what happened then and how today went. I mean, today's process lasted about 30 minutes. Last year, it took about 14 hours because, of course, they had to pause as rioters were storming the Capitol, and that came after weeks of Trump trying to sow doubt about the election and trying to overturn the...
No, he did he did challenge the election. And guess what, Caitlin Collins? A presidential candidate has every right to challenge an election result.
Results, which ultimately was unsuccessful, but on the effort about Biden trying to block his transition, as he alleged they are trying to make it more difficult, as he said. That's not a comment that his incoming chief of staff, Susie Wiles, echoed when she was speaking with Mark Caputo in an interview for Axios. She said that actually working with the Biden team had gone quite smoothly. We've seen some of those briefings getting underway. But Wolf, this comes as Trump is looking at today and, you know, seeing this as just one step closer to regaining power on January 20th and making those plans for what that's going to look like, and also just how differently Washington is going to be shaped when he comes here. I mean, you heard from John Curtis there, the newest senator from Utah, speaking to Manu. That is one voice who will certainly be someone to watch over the next few years, but he sounds very different than a lot of his Republican colleagues in the Senate, many of whom who were critical of Trump on that day are certainly not so now, Wolf.
Caitlin, on another sensitive issue, we've learned that the former leader of the Proud Boys is now asking President-elect Trump for a pardon for his role in the Capitol riot. Tell us about that. What are you hearing?
Yeah, this might be one of the most notorious defendants and ultimately who was convicted because of his actions on that day, Enrico Tarrio. He was a leader of the Proud Boys for quite some time. Obviously, they showed up en masse that day, and many of them were subsequently arrested and tried and convicted for their actions on that day. He got one of the longest sentences, actually, Wolf, out of anyone on January 6th. He got 22 years that he was sentenced for on very serious charges of a seditious conspiracy that only he and a handful of others faced on that day, and now is seeking a pardon from the president-elect Donald Trump. A question still tonight is whether or not he is going to get one. Trump has promised to pardon several of the January 6 defendants. It's unclear how many he's looking at now. And this is a real divide, even in Trump's orbit, over what that should look like, because he said he's going to do it not only on day one, but within moments of taking office. You've heard from some Republicans saying that Trump should do this on a case-by-case basis, that he should evaluate this. But then you've heard others who argue that Trump should just pardon all of them, that the prosecutions were overly aggressive.
So she's just speculating like everybody else is. All right.
That is going to be a big thing to watch on that day because, of course, as you know, Wolf, over 140 police officers were assaulted on that day by the people.
Oh, nice. Guess. Dude, guess. You should have said, like, I was just looking at my... Guess what, Caitlin Collins? Oh, nice. This one's going to go virus, baby. A presidential candidate... Should I calm down, you guys? Do you guys think I should calm down? Holy cow.
Were convicted, a lot of them who also pleaded guilty.
Yes, they do, guess. Guess, I'm not talking just pennies. I'm making $33. Look, here's my analytics. First of all, look at this. I just did 3,400. I just did 3,400 views in the last hour. And you can see my views popping. These are last 28 days. These are last 28 day figures. Estimated revenue. By the way, my YouTube channel got 130,000 views in the last 28 days. I had 845 watch time hours, and I made $33. $33 for that. I mean, that's crazy, isn't it? 130,000 views, 800 watch time hours, and I made $33. That's pretty crazy, I think. 2025 year lecture makes more on pennies compared to Doghouse Show with his 5 views. Oh, that's hilarious, Guess. Well, the thing is, Guess, is if I make pennies, if I make like 25 cents or 75 cents or whatever it is, but pennies, on every single clip and short I put up on YouTube, well, then it's just a math problem of just putting enough of them up and putting enough of them out to make real money. Calm down for what? No, calm down. No, calm down. Angry lecture is best lecture. Okay. No, I just looked at that last clip of me and I was like, man, I'm a little bit too fired up here. Maybe not.
Caitlin Collins reporting for us. Caitlin, thank you very much. Caitlin, of course, will be back later tonight.
Okay, good. I want more Caitlin later tonight.
9 p.m. Eastern for her excellent show, The Source. We'll be watching. Let's get some
analysis.
We will be
watching.
From our excellent
we will be
experts
watching.
Who are with us right now. David Chelian, you're a political director, Washington Bureau Chief. Pretty striking statement from
That's
Trump,
hilarious, Guess.
President Biden of, quote, doing every possible thing to make the transition difficult, and saying this on January 6th of all days, because Biden and the Biden administration have been doing everything possible to make this as smooth as possible, inviting Trump to the White House, making it clear that he will be attending.
Wolf Blitzer thinks inviting him to the White House makes a smooth Wolf Blitzer, you don't know what you're talking about. What in the heck who is this guy?
The inauguration and all of that.
Yes, in his Washington Post op-ed today, the president said he intends to continue the tradition of inviting the president on the morning of the inauguration.
It's like what Trump is talking about there is what's going on behind the scenes, Wolf Blitzer, not his little public meeting at the White House. How dumb do you think your viewers are?
To the White House, in addition to the visit that they had in the immediate aftermath of the election. Those kinds of traditions for the peaceful transfer of power are clearly important for President Biden.
Caitlin Collins reporting for us. Caitlin, thank you very much. Caitlin, of course, will be back later tonight.
Okay, good. I want more Caitlin later tonight.
9 p.m. Eastern for her excellent show, The Source.
You're trying to get me in trouble? This ain't, nobody wants to see this on YouTube. Nobody wants to see this, but I'll put it up just for pennies. Nobody wants to see that. And also, that doesn't make me look good. Does it? Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it, though.
Biden, in his mind, to reset that, because that was absent.
Heck yeah, guitar player.
Donald
Heck
Trump
yeah.
Obviously refused to offer Joe Biden 4 years ago. But I just want to say, this comment that he was making, I don't think Donald Trump was trying to equate his own January 6th behavior or anything related to the 6th of January. This was on Hugh Hewitt this morning in context of this conversation about Biden's actions, about banning offshore drilling and putting a sort of environmental legacy piece in place that is trying to make it more difficult for the Trump team to instantly overturn it, and that perhaps it would need to go through legislative action. And I think that was the context of the point of that Donald Trump was making, although I will say my ears perked up when I heard that, because what I heard, Wolf, in that moment was a former president who 2 weeks from right now will be 6 hours into his second presidency, laying the groundwork to point fingers and blame Joe Biden for anything that is not going the way that he wanted or scoring big victories right away out of the gate. Guarantee you're going to hear a lot of blame about Joe Biden.
And guess who taught us how to do that the best? Guess who taught us how to do that the best? Barack Hussein Obama.
Let me get Brian Morgenstern to react. You served in the Trump White House. You know what's going on. What's your reaction to this?
Well, my reaction is that we have seen some disruption. I mean, it wasn't just the oil drilling. It was trying to sell off pieces of the border wall for scraps. So there have been some things behind the scenes where they're trying to cement policies and make it more difficult for President Trump. That's very frustrating for him. So I certainly understand where he's coming from. As for January 6th, today, it was a decisive victory. It was a very clean and clear process. That is refreshing. That is positive for the country. I think that everyone was able to get through this unscathed and without incident. That is a great day for America.
An enormous contrast to what the Trump White House did 4 years ago.
Well, who cares, Wolf Blitzer? Quit talking about 4 years ago. The Democrat talking point was pretty obvious for today, wasn't it? Wow.
4 years ago, the president did say peacefully and patriotically go to the Capitol. Obviously, we saw what unfolded. The American people and the voters also saw the lawfare that came before and after that. They saw the weaponization of the federal government against political opponents, and they voted to stop that. But they voted to secure the border.
They didn't vote for what happened on January 6th. They didn't vote for what happened on January 6th. And I think what you
How do you know, lady? So you know what everybody in America, what they voted for? Who the heck does she think she is?
Is really, yes, the peaceful transfer of power. It is in marked contrast to what happened on January 6th. And Donald Trump, the problem...
No, today is January 6th. What happened on January... Lady, today is January 6th.
The problem is that part of what happened on January 6th is the story that Donald Trump wants to tell about himself, that he didn't lose and that these people were actually acting in a just cause, and that's why he wants to pardon them. But that is not the real story. And he's made it part of loyalty tests.
Yeah, he should,
have to
guess.
answer whether or not you believe that he won the last election in order to work for him in this current administration that is coming. So the problem here is that we are still in the era of January 6th 4 years ago. That hasn't changed.
Go ahead, Karen.
In the bigger picture, though, Lulu, to what you're saying, this is why the American people deserve a full accounting of history. And it's why Merrick Garland should release the final report that he gets from Jack Smith, because we, the people, we paid for it with our tax dollars. We deserve to know, for the record of history, what exactly happened. You heard a new Republican senator.
We know what happened, lady. Hillary Clinton campaign advisor. What's this lunatic on about?
And say, we don't really know all the facts about what happened. We deserve to know the facts, particularly because...
So now she's literally admitting that she has no clue what happened on January 6th? She's saying we don't know the facts about January... What?
Seeing is akin to what we're seeing conservative MAGA folks do all over the country. They're trying to rewrite history and gaslight us that what we saw with our own eyes didn't happen, and it did happen. And we need to know... as we try,
this lady sounds like a crazy person.
Trying to say to people, let's lay down a marker around what the norms really are, what it should look like. But at the same time, we can't. There has to be accountability. There has to be some transparency.
Sorry, lady, you're getting kicked out of power. There's not going to be the accountability is Democrats lose power and Republicans gain power. That's the accountability, Clinton advisor, lady.
The people really know what.
But unfortunately, I don't think there will be. I mean, I think, what actually, and I think you're right here, what voters said.
Today is January 6th. Thank you, Prologue. Lady, today is January 6th. What happened on January 6th, guys? Just whatever was on January 6th. We got to take account of January 6th. What happened on January 6th? Today is January.
Is that actually this didn't matter to them, and that they would vote for Donald Trump. That is at least the lesson that Donald Trump has taken from this.
That's the lesson that Donald Trump wants to take. But let's be very clear. An election is not the same thing as a jury verdict where the same group of people heard all of the same evidence and then rendered a verdict. That's not the same.
The political verdict takes into account the fact that, look, I was in the White House where BLM rioters were trying to get in. I had to have the Secret Service help me get home safely. Those people were not treated as harshly as some of the people on January 6th. We saw some people were peaceful and invited in.
Those are absolutely two different things. Those are one group of people. Wait, let's be clear. One group of justice. Hold on. One group of people.
Yep, he's right.
were protesting for racial justice, and one group of people were trying to
burning down police stations and burning down.
So she's literally saying like BLM rioters were good people, January 6th were bad people. Therefore, one violence is okay, one violence is bad. These people are crazy.
And we're trying to overturn a legitimate election. Those are two very different things. And we did see people.
One bar of violence is okay, one is bad.
Violent actions when they took them.
Oh, really?
But
really? We saw BLM rioters get prosecuted? We saw Antifa get prosecuted? I can't even say that without burst out laughing. Hey, guys, did you know that BLM and Antifa were prosecuted by the Biden admin?
Group of people coming onto the steps of the Capitol, trying to interrupt the peaceful transfer of power. Let us be clear, it is not the same.
The fact that this debate and conversation is still happening to me shows that it's not just trying to gaslight or whitewash or erase history, what everyone saw before their eyes 4 years ago, because we did all see it. It's actually the success of that effort. It's not it's not just that he's trying, but that Donald Trump has successfully convinced a huge swath of America that they didn't see what they saw on January 6th. And when it was litigated politically, and this is where the election comes into play, as you noted, this was not the thing that voters decided this past election on. They weren't affirming Donald Trump's behavior of January 6th in any way whatsoever.
No.
But they were saying that was not how they were going to decide the results of this most recent.
Oh, Jason Chase.
That's pretty wild to watch that. That's pretty wild to watch that, just to see like the planet that these people are on. This is even wilder than.
CNN political analyst Maggie Haberman joins us now. Maggie, what are the expectations? Trump, the president-elect, just had a January 6th that he denied Joe Biden. He's having the transition. He'll now have the inauguration that he denied Joe Biden. Where is the former president's head at as he prepares for taking office?
Did he deny Joe Biden?
Well, look, he continues to try to say that he has a historic mandate.
He doesn't
have a historic mandate, Anderson, but he certainly does have a form of a mandate. He, won the popular vote, the first Republican to do it in 20 years. I think that he is going to focus on a series of day one actions, and I think you are going to see them, seeking to essentially swamp the system, for lack of a better way of putting it, and just, overwhelm the system. I think you will see a lot on immigration. I think you will see a lot on a number of other campaign promises. The one that is unclear, Anderson, is what does Trump do about these pardons that he has said he is going to do or suggested he is likely to do for some of the people arrested in connection with the January 6th.
This is crazy. I had no idea that the TDS was this bad, Panzer. I agree. Like it's like I almost halfway expected the media to be like, okay, we got to give Trump his due respect. No, they're full-blown, same old TDS. Crazy to see. These people are Looney Tunes.
Attack by a pro-Trump mob during the certification of his successor's election. Now, it is one thing that people didn't vote with January 6th and Trump's lies about the election as their guidepost, but it's entirely different to try to test the system and see what people will tolerate with these pardons. There's not a huge appetite for them nationally, so we'll see what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, he's called them hostages repeatedly on the campaign trail, played records of them singing the national anthem. How broad do you think those pardons might be?
I think there is a debate within Trump's world about exactly what to do and who to pardon. I think that the point that the officers was making is that Trump ran as a pro-law enforcement candidate, but these were officers in a number of cases who were injured, and these were officers who were guarding against Trump's supporters, guarding this building. This is a complicated bit of messaging for Trump. So, it is going to be interesting to see who he decides, if he ultimately does go ahead with what he said he wants to do, who he decides is worthy of a clemency grant here.
Maggie Haberman, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Back with the team here in New York. Congressman Kinzinger, should President Biden issue pardons for the January 6th committee members, including yourself?
No, I don't want it. Look, here's the
thing. You don't want it?
No, because the second a pardon is issued, and look, I understand the theory behind it, because Donald Trump has clearly said he's going to go after everybody. And it's not going to be for the January 6th investigation. What they'll do is they'll weaponize other investigations. They'll look into everything and start an investigation that'll end up coming to naught, force people to pay money. This happened to Brad Raffensperger in Georgia as he was forced to defend himself. But the second you take a pardon, it looks like you're guilty of something. I'm guilty of nothing besides bringing the truth to the American people and in the process embarrassing Donald Trump, because for 187 minutes he sat there and did absolutely nothing and showed how weak and scared he truly was. So no, I don't
Holy
want
cow.
it. And
this is Adam Kinzinger? At least you gotta hand it to Adam Kinzinger. At least he's not taking Ozempic. Holy cow, good for him.
you know, the bottom line is, I mean, if he wants to bring up January 6th again, we've had all this talk about how we're moving on from January 6th, and trust me, Anderson, I would love to. Like, my life has been defined by this for 4 years, but if he wants to bring it back, I will be happily talking about everything the committee did and learned and re-embarrassed.
What some people may not realize is you're saying you don't want a pardon. Fighting whatever might come your way can cost you and your family, I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, you think about it, like, and this happened with Brad Raffensperger. People would just sue him. And so he'd have to defend himself. And he had to defend himself out of personal money. You know, I have insurance from my time in office, but still, you have to defend yourself, spend money. And then ultimately, DOJ or whatever says, yeah, we didn't find anything. But 3 years later, after you spend this, that's how they weaponize this. It's not going to be that they're going to come after you for actual January 6th investigation. They'll make it hard. But you know what? The thing I take into account is I will use that as an opportunity to show the American people what the country should not be and ever be again. And if that's a process to save, you know, democracy, then I'm happy to fight that fight.
There's also kind of an effort in this. Yes, it's about intimidation, harassment. It's also to smear people. And in a hyper-polarized environment, that can become dangerous. That's just a fact. When people's actions are misrepresented, when things are called treasonous that are very much in line with the law and congressional procedure. But to Adam's point, I have not heard anyone who outright say that they would like a pardon, because I don't think anyone believes they did anything wrong on the committee. But what stuns me is Donald Trump won. Yet you have Mike Johnson say they're going to investigate the committee. Donald Trump's still talking about January 6th. The unwillingness to move on and take a beat from what was one of the darkest days in his first term and just be forward-looking. There is so much this Congress could do that could be really good for the American people. It is not investigating Liz Cheney. That is a waste of time, taxpayer dollars, and it is not what people elected him to do.
It's also an attempt to change the subject, because part of the process of whitewashing January 6th and the events of that day is trying to make this not about that, but about the people who were looking into it, and turning pretty routine conduct of Congress people, yourself included, Adam, into something criminal is part of the plan that is designed to distract. And I do think that it is probably going to be enabled by pretty senior people in the Congress, and that we should probably just get used to it. This is the reality. Trump, in a way, not only does he want to do it, but I think his base is giving him no choice. He ran on doing this. So I think that's one of the reasons that we can expect it.
Go ahead. I actually think that's why the last time we were talking about the nominees of Akash Patel has been very clear that he wants to lead the charge with the FBI in doing some of these investigations. So that actually could be one signal for the Senate to say, we don't want to go down that path. We want to and push back on his nomination. Look, I'll sound like a broken record. There is an opportunity here for Donald Trump. I'm not going to agree with his policies, probably what he puts forth in the tax bill or on immigration, but he could be a leader and earn some of my respect by acknowledging the mistakes of the past and saying we are moving forward. I am highly doubtful he will do that, but there is an opportunity because we are an extremely divided country, and there are many Americans that did not want him to be reelected because of January 6th. And there is a chance.
Oh, my word. I can't believe it. They're just on and on and on and on and on and on and on about January 6th. Never mind the fact that today is January 6th. What is this insurance Adam spoke of? Oh, yes. It's I mean, it's like D&O insurance. It's like any insurance. Apparently, Congress people have insurance for themselves that would cover any loss. I'm sure Congress people get sued all the time, right? I mean, I would assume that crazy people sue Congress people all the time. So they're probably like, look, we need to have Congress people to have insurance so that, like, when they get sued by a crazy person, you know, like, it's going to, even if they're going to file a motion to dismiss and the motion to dismiss gets granted, it's still going to cost you like 10 grand or 20 grand or whatever it ends up costing you. So it's like, yeah, you need insurance for this. And the number one primary, everybody thinks like insurance is for like paying for stuff. and paying for damage and stuff. And like it is, but honestly, like the number one benefit 99% of people that pay for insurance end up getting out of it is, yeah, the insurance company pays for your lawyer. So yeah, I'm assuming that what Adam Kinzinger is talking about is insurance that Congress people have to pay for lawyers when they get sued for crap that they did when they were in Congress. And I'm sure when that happens, I'm sure it's a pretty simple motion to dismiss that gets granted every time, would be my assumption on that. Num, what's up?
Turns out the Speaker of the House has a very hard job. You have to cobble together a coalition of people across various party lines, and then you have to somehow materialize a majority to do.
Oh yeah, let me throw up a couple of more clips from the Sunday shows. I wanted to throw up a couple more of these.
And that we take advantage of the talent that we have on those individual committees. So I have a high level of confidence in our chairs that they will ensure that as members of the committee and of the full Senate have an opportunity to consider these nominees.
Alter, that's hilarious. To be frank, 2 or 3 inches of snow is almost Democrat. That was where I didn't get the joke. I didn't get the joke that somebody sent, like a company sent me or something.
Some health experts caution that number may be an undercount.
They're monitoring more than 10,000 exposures, but they've only tested 530. What does that mean? That means we're not testing enough, and we know from other viruses that a lot of
We're not testing enough.
In December, an unidentified 65-year-old
I don't want any testing. The reality is that probably like testing's like, I'm not opposed to testing, but like because it's Dr. Burke saying it, it's like I'm opposed to it.
That is spread widely in livestock and infected.
It's probably not all that responsible though.
But has the government done enough to prevent a new pandemic? What more must be done to stop the spread? I'm going to take those.
To stop the spread? Did he really just say that? George, we don't care about. George, we don't. Dude, how did nobody else make a clip out of that one? That one like looked like I was getting fired up. Right there. I was getting fired up right there. Our strategy was to make Trump like totally invalid. Wow. They thought that Trump would be like considered like a convicted felon terrorist type of a guy. And it's like, no, he's like the best. Boom, boom, boom. Share, share, share. Pennies, YouTube pennies, YouTube ad revenue. Let's go. We'll just do one more here.
Officers, people that I have worked with, had seen all my young adult life on Capitol Hill. And those police families are still hurt. D.C. still feels wounded.
So they're still on and on and on and on and on about January 6th. It's literally 4 years later and they're still. That was even like yesterday they were even upset. It's been, the whole week has been January 6th. Her vocal fry is so bad, probably gotten worse. Wait, what's a vocal fry?
Police officers, people that I.
All right, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's 5 new ones.
So the job of the Speaker of the House is not, in fact, to be, quote unquote, an ideological thought leader. There are plenty of people whose job that is. It is the job of the Speaker of the House to actually get done what can be done. It is to get as much of the pie as humanly possible. And the problem with many of the ideologues, particularly in Congress, but also in the commentariat, is that when they suggest that the Speaker of the House has the magical Nietzschean ability to simply impose his will on Congress and get everything that you could possibly want, they are lying. It is simply not true. So this all came to fruition over the break. So on Friday, despite the attempts of people like Thomas Massie, the representative from Kentucky, to prevent Speaker Johnson from being reelected, Johnson was reelected. Here was Massie looking rather dissolute, actually, in this particular clip, trying to make the case against Speaker Johnson in the most colorful possible terms.
You can pull all my fingernails out. You can shove bamboo up in them. You can start cutting off my fingers. I am not voting for Mike Johnson tomorrow. And you can take that to the bank.
Well, he didn't, but everybody else did, because President Trump signaled his support for Mike Johnson. And the reason that he did that is because Johnson is as good as it's going to get. Johnson is, in fact, a very conservative Speaker of the House. He is faced with an extraordinarily slim majority. And there are always going to be people in Congress who have decided that the best thing that they can do is go on television and spout rather than actually, doing the job of being in Congress. But the job of being in Congress is very different from the job of saying what it is that you think about politics. The job of being in Congress, again, is to get as much of the pie as possible. And that changes pretty radically depending on whether you are in the minority or whether you're in the majority, whether there's a Democrat in the White House or whether there is a Republican in the White House. So somebody like a Thomas Massie, for example, might be a true asset to conservatives when the Republicans are in the minority, meaning that they're not in the White House, or if they're in the minority in Congress. You want to obstruct Joe Biden's plans, after all. And then there's the question of what you do when you have a president of the United States who's an elected Republican, Donald Trump, when you have an elected majority in the Senate, when you have an elected majority in the House. Then the question becomes, how much can you get? And obviously, you want conservatives who are going to push back against the excesses, but you also want people who are going to make practice.
No, I haven't heard of vocal fry. The vocal fry register is the lowest vocal register is produced through a loose glottal closure that permits air to bubble through slowly with a popping or rattling sound of a very low frequency.
Is talking like this bad for my voice or job prospects or life in general? What is up with vocal fry?
Oh, I know.
Hey there,
what it
Friars.
is, yeah.
Trace here for D News. Vocal fry is the lowest of 4 registers of the human voice. Our voice is made by air passing through a set of soft flaps in our voice box or larynx. As we breathe, air moves past these flaps, which can vibrate from 100 to 1,000 times per second. Like a brass instrument's mouthpiece, vocal cords alone just create a buzzing sound. But if you put a resonator above it, like a horn, you can affect a sound. You get it. As we learn to control the vibration, we use the throat, the mouth, and our nasal cavity as our resonator.
Whatever, dude. All right. I got it. West Coast women do it a lot. I mean, sometimes I do it, don't I? Dr. Burks does it. Jill Abramson of the NYT did it all the time. Some women do it to sound intellectual or something. Like, oh yeah, like I just we'll just do this and we'll just. I don't know. I mean, how does that sound intellectual? What the heck?
You know, it's very meaningful to me that I'm the first woman to be executive editor of the New York Times. And some of the people who interviewed me on the day of the announcement, especially I found some of the male journalists who interviewed me were almost afraid to ask the question. They almost said to me, I know I'm not supposed to ask this, but they'd ask me then a gender-related question. I'm so proud of the fact that I am the first woman to hold this job.
What's keeping you up at night?
I can't do it, dude. I can't even barely listen to her. That is horrible.
Pragmatic and
wow. Jeez. Oh, man. Whew, I need a refresher. Let's get Colin Kaepernick on the panel. Right. Oh. Colin Kaepernick would be perfect on a CNN or MSNBC panel. He'd be perfect. I'm surprised he's not on one. That's hilarious, bro. Trudeau to resign as voters sour on his vision for Canada. Prime Minister Trudeau said Monday he'd resign, making him the latest global progressive leader to fall from power and leaving Canada rudderless as it prepares to contend with Trump's threats to upend free trade in North America. Well, that pretty much sums it up right there, doesn't it? Perfect opening. Kind of nails it, doesn't it? Wow. So the progressives, the global progressives on retreat. Trudeau's resignation caps a decade-long political career during which the 53-year-old rose to global political stardom as a young, handsome, unabashed progressive whose appeal faded over time until he became so unpopular that his Liberal Party forced him to step down before elections that must happen no later than October. Trudeau said he would stay on as prime minister until the party picks a new leader, a process that could take months and draw from the ranks of critics who pushed him out. The Liberal Party trails badly in the polls to Conservatives, led by Pierre Poilievre, a populist who would be elected prime minister if the election were held now. It has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election. Trudeau's the latest standard bearer for progressive politics to suffer from a voter backlash amid economic stagnation in Europe, discontent with aggressive climate policies, a growing resistance to immigration, with Trump set to return to the White House January 20th. Conservatives and populist right-wing parties have made unprecedented gains in the EU, where 3/4 of governments are either led by a right-of-center party or are ruled by a coalition that includes at least one. That's crazy that's crazy that right-wingers are just kind of like... The same thing happened after Trump won in 2016, too. It's amazing. Just goes to show you like how influential the United States is. The Canadian leader would exit as one of the most unpopular political figures in the country, leaving his party in a weakened position, his country facing an uncertain economic future. Voters blame Trudeau for rising costs and housing shortages that were aggravated by looser immigration policies. His approval rating fell to about 20%. 20%? I didn't know it was that bad. Wow. That's horrible. Too bad the EU has already lost. Yep. Maybe, but then again, it might point to how global trends in culture affects every country, including the U.S. I think there's also obviously a lot of that too, pro-law, because especially if the right wing was like already gaining in Europe before Trump won in 2024, which they were. The right wing has been like slowly gaining in Europe for a long time. So there absolutely is like other trends and things going on here. In the last couple of years, Trudeau has not been an effective politician. He's kind of lost his political antenna. On top of Canada's economic woes, Trump is promising to impose 25% tariffs on Canadian imports unless drugs and migrants stop coming across the northern border. While that threat is seen to be aimed more at Mexico, it still presents a political headache for Canada's leaders. Since he won the U.S. elect, Trump has taken to mocking Trudeau and proposing Canada become the 51st state. On Monday, Trump, in a post on Truth Social, said Trudeau stepped down because many people in Canada love being the 51st state. A poll last month said 13% of Canadians would support becoming a state. Wow, we got 13% support for Canadian statehood. Let's go, let's go, let's go. It's rising. The Conservatives in Canada are less conservative than Republicans in our country, but much better than Trudeau. The Conservatives support repealing Canada's carbon tax that Trudeau put in place. No, I don't want Canada. I don't either. This whole idea of trying to make Canada a state is a terrible idea. All they are is a bunch of left-wingers up there and socialists. No, they're going to be Democrats. They're going to be a net drain on our society. No, we don't want them as a state. Okay, I'm going to make two clips. I'm going to make two clips on YouTube. One in support of making Canada a state, and then the other one, the argument I just made against making Canada a state. We'll see which one the YouTube algo falls in love with. I don't want Canada as a state either, but I hope conservatives there can turn the country around. Canada as a colony, though. Yeah, or what about as a territory? Okay, what about as a territory like Puerto Rico is now and like Guam is now? Why can't they just be a territory? Trudeau's hold on power grew tenuous last month after the left-leaning New Democrat Party, which had been propping up his minority government, said it was withdrawing support. The setback came only days after the resignation of the finance minister. She said she left the cabinet because she thought Trudeau wasn't taking adequate steps to prepare for a trade war with Washington. For a time, Trudeau was a rarity in Canadian politics, a celebrity around whom crowds and cameras gathered. Once a high school drama teacher, Trudeau saw his political career take off in 2012. A year before he became party leader, when he decisively beat Conservative Senator Brazeau, a karate black belt and former member of the Canadian Naval Reserve, in a charity boxing match. He hits really hard, said Trudeau. After the fight, a slightly awkward duel that went just over 2 rounds. I can take a hard hit. Is there video of that? Is there video of that boxing match? Love it. I hope we get Greenland. Oh yeah. Yes, Canada has a territory, then we siphon their resources, then give him no voting power. Legendary. Wow, what's up, Len? Dude, I got tickets to the inauguration of Donald Trump. Wow, congratulations, man. I'll be there with a good view of the podium. I'll be networking with the young Republicans there. Dude, that's awesome, man. Congrats. Oh, and I'm going to the victory rally on the day before the inauguration. Wow, that's congrats, Legendary.
Algonquin, member of the reserve there, and 100 on from Levant
on Patrick Brazeau, a real Aboriginal tattoo on a real Métis man.
But not Métis, Algonquin. He is Algonquin and a Vic symbol.
Monsieur, him down. Now is the time. Good luck, gentlemen.
And both men about to begin. The shame that will come with a haircut Monday for the loser. That is one of the side bets these two gentlemen have
Dude,
made.
I have never heard of this. Are you kidding me?
Trudeau going with the jab first. Brazeau avoiding it.
Look at the inside. Brazeau's getting more punches in than I thought he would. Look at that.
He's got him up against the ropes.
Taking it in the face. Come on, shiny pony. Dance, use your ballet training.
He's got the power going in on him, avoiding Trudeau's jabs, which with his longer reach should be able to keep Brazeau away. But they're not.
Shiny pony's face. Don't touch the face. I don't want those beautiful lips to be bleeding.
And they're hugging.
I'd hug him too, Ryan. Oh my God. This is going to be this is a one-round fight, Brian.
They're going 3 rounds.
Have you guys seen this?
They're going 3 rounds. Either way, Ezra. 3 rounds, 2 minutes each, unless.
Am I the only one that hasn't seen this ever?
In Olympic-style amateur bouts.
Brazeau's gasping for air. He's got more muscle, needs more oxygen.
But he's still laying more punches, and the crowd is drowning out the chance of Trudeau with Brazeau.
That 3-inch advantage in Trudeau's reach ain't helping him today.
No, not when you're being mauled.
How did Trudeau end up winning this? How did Trudeau end up winning this? I don't understand how Trudeau wins this. Okay, thank you, Altair. I hadn't either.
Brazeau, he's 3 inches shorter than Trudeau. And he has a shorter reach, but he keeps ducking effectively when Trudeau tries to lay the gloves on him.
They're both exhausted already. I saw Trudeau training with a skipping rope, get him some endurance. I don't know, those punches look weak to me. I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of them, but I don't think they're going to make a dent in Brazeau.
Now, so far, if we're going on points, and that's how this works, a good flurry by Trudeau at the end there. But going on points, we'd have to say that that round went to Brazeau. Huh. Okay, both boxers going to the corners. They're going to get looked at. Listen in.
Well, so this was 12 years. This was uploaded to 2012. So this was 13 years ago. It was about for the Cancer charity Fight for the Cure. Live coverage in English was provided by Sun News Network.
All right. Here is one of the flurries from Brazeau getting Trudeau up against the ropes.
I never would thought I would feel sympathy for a Liberal, but I feel it watching that. Boom. He got him like that a couple of times.
Dude, this commentary is amazing. I love the comment.
You and I were talking about the reach. Brazeau had to get past it. He did in that round. They're being called forward now for the second round after the
I never thought I would feel sympathy for a Liberal.
Hockey moment here where the guy gets in the face and the boxer screams for Adrian.
Wow, 13 seconds?
Round 2, 2 minutes. Trudeau getting the jabs out early.
Wow, Trudeau comes out firing.
Brazeau blocking effectively, laying his own
Trudeau
punches.
comes out fired in the second round.
But he's backing away more.
Hits. Brazeau's taking some hits. The shiny pony is a stallion.
Returning fire now from Brazeau.
I think he's taking some punches harder than he thought. Now we're seeing that reach. 1, 2,
oh my
3, 4
word!
in a row from the pony. Maybe the endurance factor and the reach are kicking in, Brian.
Could be. Maybe that skipping rope we were talking about with Trudeau helped more than you thought.
The second round is the pony.
Well, I'd say a more even round than the first. The first definitely went to Brazeau. Trudeau the upper hand. What a play against the ring.
Oh, man.
He's not even punching.
He's not even blocking. A semi-hug there to the referee calling for a break.
Boom!
Trudeau looking like he does have more stamina.
Get him, Patrick Brazeau. Get him.
I wouldn't have guessed.
Go, Brazeau. He's just getting lit up by Trudeau.
Enough to stun the pony.
Well, the resurgence of Trudeau has led to the chance for Trudeau getting louder.
You know, that's one thing. He came in with low expectations. He's exceeding them. Brazeau's holding on to the ropes. Now he's just covering
in the corner, just taking the punches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The ref is stepping in. I can hear it already. Trudeau for leader. Bob Ray's next, Brian.
Trudeau for leader. He literally just said, I can see it now. Trudeau for leader. This literally led to Justin Trudeau becoming prime minister. He won a freaking boxing match against a state senator. This is crazy. I had no idea Canada was this weird.
I can hear it already. Trudeau for leader. Bob Ray's next, Brian. Oh, just a straight punch in the face.
And Brazeau's nose.
Are you kidding me, dude? I don't understand. How did Justin Trudeau get absolutely dominated the first round, but then absolutely nothing the second round?
Already Trudeau for leader.
I thought these were females. Dude, watch it. Watch Trudeau come out in the third round here.
Bob Ray.
Or no, this is still the second round. It just got paused because Trudeau was beating him up so bad.
Brian. Just a straight punch in the face.
And Brazeau's nose looking like it's starting to bleed. Swinging wildly.
Yeah, grabbing ain't going to work here.
The grabbing doesn't work, and those back punches don't help either. Okay, there's the bell. Trudeau walking calmly.
Wipe out for the Tory.
Trudeau walking calmly to the corner. Brazeau taking a beating there. On rounds, it'd be one each, but
I give Trudeau credit. Yeah, no kidding.
In those 2 rounds, we don't know yet. Let's listen in.
Look at that. Oh, boom. One in the face, in the face, in the tummy, in the face. I think they use the word tummy when they're hitting this hard, Brian. He's hanging on the ropes.
Another look. Here we go again. This is Trudeau's best flurry in the corner, I thought.
And if he's
good
doing this
Lord,
after that
man.
First round, he's going to have an even bigger endurance advantage in the 3rd round.
Well, we'll see. Trudeau standing already. Brazeau still sitting. Both getting instructors from their coaches.
I wouldn't have thunk it. The pony, it's not just about jazzercise or Tybo. He can actually deliver a punch.
Okay.
The blood, I can see the blood on Trudeau's glove.
Dude, look at how much harder that guy's breathing. Holy cow. Yeah, the endurance and cardio is just like not even a...
Their man who comes out strong again in this 3rd round.
Brazeau's
trying to get inside and start laying some.
Here's that reach.
A lot of people thought that Justin Trudeau would punch like Justin and then land on the canvas like Justine. That is not happening here. So far, a bit more even in this 3rd round.
This is his liberal bar mitzvah. Today, he becomes a man, Brian. Oh, he's just wailing.
He is now pummeling Brazeau.
This is like his papa coming back in the 1980 election. Everyone counted him out. He lost in 79. Pierre came back in 80. In the second and
Trudeau
third round,
strong.
Boom, boom,
Brazeau's
boom.
legs
The Tory's
giving
taking
out
it.
on him.
The Tory's going down. He's in the corner. This is game over. The blood. The ref's got to stop it.
Brazeau looking disappointed.
A lot of people losing a lot of money tonight. The bookie said 3-1 odds. The pollster said 3-1 odds. The Tory is getting crushed.
And there you have it. The fight called for Justin Trudeau. Even go to the end.
Not even close. It was close for about 30 seconds, Brian.
And you look at that ponytail on Patrick Brazeau, and it will be gone come Monday with a haircut.
Someone's getting a haircut.
Tony, you're the stallion.
From you, Ezra, that means a lot.
What do you say?
It really eat you up inside, doesn't it?
You know what? It's for a good cause. You proved me wrong. A lot of doubters. Is Bob Ray next?
You always got to go there, don't you, Ezra?
Listen, good for you. He had... Give the man credit. He trained hard. He was the underdog. He hit you pretty freaking hard.
Absolutely. But he didn't get me down. So, but congratulations to Justin on a win.
Give the man credit. He overcame the odds.
But he didn't get me down. Boo, boo. Wow. I had no freaking clue. Dude, the Wall Street Journal says Justin Trudeau is just a high school drama teacher, and then he saw his political career take off in 2012 when he decisively beat Patrick Brazeau, a karate black belt and former member of the Canadian Naval Reserve, in a charity boxing match. Wow, so this Patrick Brazeau guy wasn't just some any random senator that he whipped up on. It was a karate black belt and a veteran of the Canadian Naval Reserve. He hits really hard. I can take a hard hit. After he became prime minister in 2015, Trudeau caused a stir by appearing shirtless and holding a surfboard in a couple's wedding photo shoot. He was feted at the 2016 World Economic Forum in Davos. He pledged to rein in Canada's greenhouse gas emissions by phasing out oil and gas industry, the world's 4th largest. Dude, that's suicide. Canada had the world's 4th largest oil and gas industry, and Justin Trudeau dedicated to get rid of it. Wow. That's evil. I had no idea, dude. I'm gonna tweet about that. Canada had the world's 4th largest oil and gas industry when Justin Trudeau promised to eliminate it. Think about that. Shocking. Evil. What Dems want in America, though. I had no idea that Canada had the world's fourth largest freaking industry of oil and gas when Justin Trudeau said he was going to get rid of it. What a scumbag. Did you know that Keir Starmer, the new PM in the UK, is already underwater by 40 points despite only being there? No, I did not know that, guitar player. All I know is that all these other world leaders need to get behind Trump, get behind America. And if these world leaders like Justin Trudeau or anybody else, if they don't fall in line behind Trump, then they need to get replaced by their people. Trudeau's luster began to fade in 2019 after his former justice minister accused him of interfering in a corruption investigation into Montreal Engineering Company. The country's ethics watchdog ruled that actions by Trudeau and his aides were tantamount to political direction. Trudeau accepted responsibility for what unfolded, although he said he disagreed with some of the watchdog's findings. Pictures then emerged of Trudeau in brown makeup and wearing blackface at separate parties, undermining his reputation for inclusivity. He never regained his standing leading minority governments for the past 5 years. Capitalizing on Trudeau's misfortune has been Poilievre, 45 years old, who has pulled from the same playbook as animated right-wing populists in the U.S., Argentina, and across Europe. Let's do an Argentina update, guys. You guys ready? You guys ready for an Argentina update? Let's do Argentina news for the last month. 1 year in, how's Milei's experiment going? Let's do this.
This video is brought to you by Nebula.
It's now been just over a year since Argentinian President Javier Milei took office. And, well, things are going pretty great for him. He successfully flipped both Argentina's trade and fiscal deficits, allowing Argentina to run consecutive primary surpluses for the first time in ages. Inflation has come down from its heady highs, allowing the central bank to finally cut interest rates and hopefully paving the way for the V-shaped recovery that Milei has long promised. But perhaps most impressively, Milei's approval rating has actually gone up in the past few months, with the latest morning consult polling giving him an astonishing net approval rating of plus 37. So in this video, we're going to take another look at Milei's presidency and ask whether his apparent success could be replicated elsewhere.
It's almost like Chicago School of Economics works. It's almost like that, Nam. Yep. Crazy, isn't it? Crazy.
So let's start with a quick recap. As regular viewers probably already know, Milei came to power a year ago promising to take a proverbial chainsaw to the state in an attempt to balance the budget and bring macroeconomic stability.
Wow, guitar player. That's wild. I didn't know that.
Within just a few...
Oh, for sure, 1927. He goes, yeah, Canada has tons of resources. Can you imagine trying to eliminate and get rid of the world's fourth largest oil and gas industry? Unreal.
Weeks, he had abolished 10 of Argentina's 18 government ministries, halted the vast majority of public infrastructure projects, and dramatically cut fiscal transfers to provincial governments. He also devalued Argentina's currency, the peso, by 50%, and then implemented what's known as a crawling peg, whereby its value continued to fall by 2% each month, as part of an attempt to bring its official value closer to its market rate. This was both to simplify Argentina's currency regime, thereby facilitating more investment, and to force Argentinian households and businesses to import less. These policies had two immediate consequences. The first was a dramatic decrease in GDP, with Argentina's economy shrinking by about 3.5% this year, because cuts to government spending meant that Argentinian households had less cash to spend. This also triggered a dramatic increase in poverty, with the relative poverty rate rising from 40% to 53%. Second, there was a spike in inflation, thanks to the depreciation of the peso. Month-on-month inflation jumped from 12.8% in November 2023 to an all-time high of 25.5% in December 2023, Milei's first month in charge. For context, this would translate to a year-on-year rate, which is usually how inflation is measured, of about 1,400%. Now, this was unsurprising, and Milei did warn the electorate that his policies would entail some economic turmoil, but this really was quite an upheaval. While Milei's approval ratings stayed impressively high, with most pollsters putting him above 50%, a couple of months ago there was a sense that their patience was waning somewhat. His approval ratings were ticking down slightly, inflation was stubbornly high, and the recession was deepening. However, in the past few months, things have started looking up. Month-on-month inflation has fallen from a peak of 25% last December down to about 3% for the past few months. This is obviously high by international standards, but it's low by Argentinian standards. And, perhaps more importantly, it's lower than Argentina's average wage growth. Argentinian wages are currently growing by about 6%, which means, in real terms, that wages are growing at about 2 or 3% month-on-month, their fastest rate in quite some time. The relative poverty rate has also fallen from its recent peak, going from 53% in June to 49% in October. In November, low inflation allowed the central bank to lower its benchmark rate for the first time in nearly 6 months, from 40% to 35%. There are also some tentative signs that the economy is rebalancing towards investment and exports, as Milei had hoped. For context, GDP is usually defined
Guy
as
Wilson, what's up, Guy
things:
Wilson? Good to see you, man.
Domestic consumption, government spending,
For
investment,
sure, Guy
and
Wilson,
net
yeah.
exports, i.e. your exports minus your imports. Milei believes that Argentina's GDP involves too much consumption and government spending, and hopes that the coming recovery will be driven more by investment and exports. And, well, it looks like this is sort of happening. In the first 7 months of 2024, the latest period for which we have data, exports reached $45.4 billion, an increase of 14.8% on the same period last year.
Wow.
While imports totaled just $33.1 billion, a decrease of 25.9% year-on-year. In the aggregate, this means that Argentina ran a $12.3 billion trade surplus in this time, compared to a $5.2 billion trade deficit during the same period last year. Milei and the Argentinian government are confident that exports will continue to grow in the coming years, largely thanks to demand for commodities like lithium and copper, which are required for the energy transition and are relatively abundant in Argentina, but also because of shale. Argentina actually has one of the biggest shale oil and gas deposits in the world, called Vaca Muerta, in the Patagonian desert, but underinvestment and chronic mismanagement by the government and Argentina's big energy firms have left it largely undeveloped. Nonetheless, the deposit has already helped Argentina run an energy surplus. In other words, exporting more energy than it imports.
Is this an AI video? Man, if this is an AI video, they're getting good. They're getting really good where it's extremely difficult to tell, I think. This does look like an AI channel, I'll tell you that. Now I'm more convinced this is an AI video.
For the first time since 2011. And exports will only grow if Milei can make more progress on Vaca Muerta's growing pipeline network. While the data on investment is a bit murkier, cash is flowing into Argentina.
Yeah, this is definitely AI. But the content is amazing.
Argentinian stocks, and Milei's government says it expects its reforms to attract up to $15 billion in investment next year. In other signs that investor confidence is improving, Argentinian bonds have doubled in value since Milei came to office. And in November, Argentina's credit rating was upgraded, although it's still 7 notches below investment grade. This has all been great news for Milei personally. According to the latest Morning Consult polling from last week, his net approval rating now sits at plus 37, up about 5 points from a few months ago and the second highest in the world after just India's Narendra Modi. Now, to be clear, this isn't to say that everything's going perfect. The economy is still in recession after all. Nonetheless, the fact that in just a year, Milei has successfully flipped Argentina's fiscal and trade deficits, all while maintaining sky-high approval ratings, is undeniably impressive. Milei's apparent success.
Let's try this one. This one was a month ago.
There are very few world leaders that have a less enviable job than the new president of Argentina, a country that was once one of the most prosperous economies on the planet, but has since fallen.
Argentina update, part 2, Argentina update. We got to do Argentina updates, guys. We got to always do our Argentina updates.
Into decades of crisis after crisis. Last year, a radical new government was elected led by this chainsaw-wielding gentleman, Javier Milei, who ran on possibly the most depressing political campaign message ever. Argentina, after decades of economic mismanagement, was no longer a wealthy country, so if it was ever going to heal, it needed to stop acting like one and live within its means. The country was basically relying on a credit card to maintain a standard of living for its people, which it simply couldn't afford with its outdated and inefficient industries. The solution meant major cuts to government programs, subsidies and benefits, while increasing taxes and privatising a lot of government utilities. The result would be a significant and instantaneous hit to quality of life for almost everybody in the country, but even despite that not particularly appealing political pitch, it was remarkably popular because the hope was that it was a bitter medicine that the country needed to finally clear out generations of economic rot and rebuild from the ground up. So instead of the usual round of questions for this, we only really need to answer one. A year on from these radical changes, is it working? If you've ever tried creating a high-quality video, you know it takes a lot of effort, from scripting and editing to finding the right visuals. But with today's sponsor, InVideo AI, things are about... And if you use my popular speculative 30 to the self-opportunities of the 20th century, to the military junta that dismantled conservative economic policy in 1930, to the self-sufficient recovery projects using pre-existing industries, Argentina has been on an economic rollercoaster the likes of which most countries have never experienced, let alone been able to recover from. And yet, it has, 5 times, and it very well might be able to experience its 6th. Even though it has made these comebacks in terms of top-line economic output, every economic collapse has only further tarnished its reputation as an economy that is simply doomed to chronic instability. In fact, each so-called recovery has left it more and more vulnerable to economic hardship, which has to do with how government leaders keep their promises to the public. This was covered in depth in our last video on Argentina, so put simply, embracing the policy of developmentalism, each election period was followed with efforts to modernise by taking on massive amounts of debt, with no clear plan as to how this would eventually be resolved beyond hiding it under the proverbial rug. Even more simply, it was an economy that had lost its competitive edge in the global economy, and instead of accepting that, it's attempted to look like a developed economy by borrowing money and protecting advanced yet inefficient local industries. This scared away foreign investment and businesses, made exports very uncompetitive, and devalued the local currency over and over again.
Yeah, it's crazy that, Argentina previously, intentionally tried to not do exports. Bizarre.
To the point where it's actually had 6 different currencies over just the last 50 years. It had become such a problem for the average citizen that many started using US currency for daily purchases, which prompted the national government to limit transfers, along with taking out larger and larger controversial loans, most notably from the IMF, the latest being a $7.5 billion
I agree,
package.
Eric. Argentina is a very beautiful
Now, this has largely
country.
been the product of the country becoming a custom.
In fact, I was going to visit Argentina. I may even have had plane tickets. Did I have plane tickets to Argentina and I canceled them? I think I might have. But yeah, that was actually on one of my bucket lists.
Accustomed to a particular standard of living, where elections were won almost solely by making promises to those with the most to lose that they would be able to maintain their...
Which is why we do the Argentina update too.
...present lifestyle. However, the consequences of poor fiscal discipline have recently become far too great to ignore, and the latest revolutionary presidential-elect has argued that maybe the people will choose a radical...
It would be such a cool country to visit. I think it's a great country to be a tourist in, as far everything I know about it. I've never been, obviously, but and I frankly don't know a ton about it. I mean, I like to watch movies about it and stuff, but I've never read books about Argentina.
Course towards cost cutting.
You can take cruises from Argentina to Antarctica too. That'd be awesome.
Over the old strategy of living off debt that has so far not been going great for them. Much of the mainstream depiction of Milei has been born out of his admittedly strange behaviour on the campaign trail, and opinions of the figure fall into one of 2 categories.
Me too.
The first camp has argued that he's an unhinged radical, one who has been compared to a number of other modern leaders in the West that is too cartoonish to be taken seriously. The second feels that he's a necessary solvent for Argentina's bloated bureaucratic overreach that has caused far more harm than good over the last 80 years of ups and downs. Regardless, the assumption that he isn't serious, or that he isn't at the very least well-versed on economic issues, can be dispelled when looking at his career path. For 2 decades, Milei taught economics at a university level, writing dozens of papers on the subject by 2016. His methods during his rise to prominence starting around 2010 were flamboyant, aggressive, and often involved direct insults towards whoever he saw as opposition. Milei was constantly pointing out the growing amount of cases where Argentina was spending beyond its means on various radio programs, and these findings were, to be fair, objectively problematic. For Argentina, the government now has a reputation for spending massive amounts on bloated programs, giving salaries that were so generous that it sometimes couldn't even afford to pay its workers. At one point, an ex-Argentine president admitted outright that we don't have the money, so we can't pay. The payment depends on tax collections, and as everyone knows, we're having difficulties with revenues. It's not exactly the kind of statement that puts the public at ease. And a lot of that had to do with insane subsidies, most notably energy, amounting to 3.5% of the country's GDP in 2014. By 2022, these subsidies alone cost the state budget approximately $12 billion.
Definitely not, Sussy.
For the government, this meant spending more pesos and printing more pesos, which caused private industries to try and carry the productive load while simultaneously crippling them to the point that they could no longer compete. If the government is giving away a service practically for free, it's very hard for a private business to develop in that industry when they have to turn a profit to survive. All of this created an incredibly bizarre case of brain drain, where citizens who would normally excel in the private sector had no other choice but to choose a government job for consistently unstable incentives. Well, that, or in the tech world, work online internationally while harbouring US dollars in secret. In other words, Argentina hasn't necessarily been losing its people, but they had been losing the allegiance of its labour force, causing the economy to basically bleed internally. And because of this, very few outside entities are even willing to resolve it, as motivations for doing so remain unclear. The constant debt cycles and hyperinflation made the country an extremely risky place to invest, so private enterprise found it very hard to establish there because nobody wants to set up business in a country that goes bankrupt routinely. And this is where the people started taking Javier Milei's message a little more seriously, one that was originally too hard to swallow. Again, basing their living standards on past periods of prosperity, Argentina felt the full force of democracy's double-edged sword. Every time a candidate came in with words promoting consistency, many voters turned a blind eye to how much this would cost, constantly chasing their historic high from 100 years ago when they were rivaling global superpowers. But after 9 bankruptcies, raising public unrest, and an inflation rate orbiting around 200%, it finally looked like they were ready to hear the harsh truth, and that's how Milei found his way into the highest office in Argentina. With really one simple message: this is going to hurt. So here's how it's going. Literally the first thing Milei did after coming into office was to gut the government from bow to stern. On the first day, a decree was signed to reduce the number of federal industries, with 18 cabinet offices being absorbed by 9 departments. Duties held by the Ministry of Transport and Public Works were transferred to the Ministry of Infrastructure. Things like tourism, sports and environmental policy were transferred to the Ministry of Interior. And the idea was that if the fat was cut and some government arms became privatised, this would be a good first step towards reviving competition.
Yo, Darius Morb in the house. I'm doing well. How about you, man? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Welcome. Jobs are required to pay out your unused PTO time, right? Might be looking at a new job. I always thought so, American Patriot. I'm not 100% sure if it's like required or voluntary, though. I remember thinking that that was required, and then at one point somebody said, no, that's just like voluntary. Like just most companies, most businesses do that, but they don't have to. I don't know the answer to that. I know that employment law and employment legal issues are its own specialty, and it's not my specialty, so I really don't know. Sometime last year, I watched the first 2000 Bush v. Gore debate. Al Gore said he would balance the budget every year. If elected, he would pay down the national debt. Wow, that's amazing, guitar player. How times have changed, huh?
Deterred growth in recent decades. Again, to be fair, this is working.
The U.S. should buy Argentina.
Milei's extreme austerity measures have cut down a lot of these programs, and by the headline figures, some things are going right. Most notably, they brought in more tax revenue than they spent this year. Inflation is also down, which is huge considering where the country was. Now that's great, but perhaps the most interesting and controversial move that Milei has been encouraging, though, as of late, is dollarization, where the Argentine peso would be phased out and replaced with the US dollar as the nation's medium of exchange. Now, this isn't unheard of. Of course, many countries in the EU use the euro, a currency that they don't directly control, and there are also dozens of smaller economies around the world that use the US dollar because managing and maintaining their own domestic currency just wouldn't be worth it compared to the ease and global recognition of the US dollar. So it's not like Milei is pulling this out of a hat, but unlike euro countries that still do have some shared say, and the countries that are already using other foreign currencies, if Argentina can pull this off, it would be by far the largest economy in the world to embrace dollarization. So, unsurprisingly, a lot of people are watching this process very closely. Several prominent economists in the US, like Steve Hanke and John Cochrane, have been long-time proponents of dollarization, and Milei openly admits that theorists like Murray Rothbard, Friedrich Hayek, Milton Friedman, and Gary Becker have inspired some of his latest decisions. Dollarization is an aggressive move for any country to make because of the control that it gives up to set its own monetary policy. If, for example, the US is thriving and inflation is high, the central bank might increase its target rate, which would be felt in Argentina even if its economy is faltering and would benefit from lower interest rates. But it seems that handing off control is the very thing that Javier Milei finds so attractive. It's the macroeconomic equivalent of handing the keys over to a responsible adult at the beginning of a big night. The Argentine central bank has already tried some of the most extreme forms of peg currency agreements, and when they did, they were incapable of maintaining sufficient reserves, allowing for unlimited convertibility, or committing to a fixed rate of exchange. To Milei and the economists that promote this movement, this is why Argentina might fare better by going all in. Without the financial parachutes in wake of the crisis, the government would, theoretically, have to be more cautious about where it spends its money. Argentina couldn't print its way out of a jam, which it's done plenty of times in the past, and although growth would occasionally stagnate or be much slower than what they've experienced in the past, the country's inflation rate would finally be manageable. Encouraging foreign investment allowed the nation to modernise in the past, and allowing foreign investors to invest in US dollars makes the whole prospect of doing business in Argentina a lot safer and more attractive. So it's undoubtedly a risky play, but if there is any country in the world that would benefit from tearing things down and starting again, it would be Argentina. But even if this was guaranteed to work, there's another more immediate problem. To fully dollarise the economy, Argentina needs dollars, which it doesn't have because a lot of its foreign reserves have typically gone to paying off debts. Now, the good news is that the country's trade surplus has been growing over the last year, so it has a source of foreign income, but to properly make the switch away from the peso, the first step has to be to stabilise the peso to begin with. Milei's methods, cutting subsidies, cutting taxes for foreign investment, and mass privatisation have led to the first signs of consistent fiscal surplus in years. The deep cuts, slashing, and selective deregulation have allowed the nation to slowly heal. However, there's a reason Milei said, bite down, this is going to hurt. Public utilities like gas, water, and electricity have skyrocketed, along with basic necessities like food and public transport, while tens of thousands of people are losing their jobs from lack of government support, or directly from executive efforts to curb their deficit. For the armchair economist, it's easy to point to the numbers and tell people that this shock treatment is making a positive difference. But to the average person who is seeing a considerable drop in their support systems, it's extremely hard to celebrate what onlookers see on a chart. It might be easy to explain to the people that a deepening recession is necessary to fix the bloat and mismanagement, but it's hard to maintain public approval when people are spending months barely scraping by. This matters because if Milei is kicked out of office too soon, then all of this would essentially be for nothing. In the past year, Argentina has seen a significant rise in protests, with those in the opposition...
Man, this is a really well done, like, non-biased video. This Economics Explained channel, I would say this is a really well done, like, straight down the middle video.
Claiming that these signs of recovery are superficial at best. Major institutions have been shut down or damaged by marches, and putting on the proverbial shoes, the response to these changes might seem reasonable,
you guys think?
Necessary.
Do you guys agree or
Popular
no?
arguments point to Argentina's initial drop in GDP, but with government spending being one of the major contributors to the metric, that kind of explains itself. On the flip side, it doesn't seem like retaliation for these changes has risen significantly in recent months, or at least not remained consistent. Polls in Argentina seem to indicate that many are getting the message. Things have to get worse before they get better. One of the biggest pillars of Milei's plan is getting back competitive industry, which will take time because nobody wants to set up a company until they've seen this plan at least providing some stability first. And even then, businesses take a while to get going. What Argentina really needs is time. Radical solutions probably are what is needed for a country with such radical problems. The issue in the past is giving a plan long enough to play out before deciding the opposing guy's solution sounds better and reversing course. It's also worth mentioning that Argentinian shock treatment isn't some kind of magical treatment that can be applied to any struggling economy. Milei's policies and general style of governance wouldn't do well in an economy that's running smoothly, where it's more about small, gentle corrections to keep everything in check. But for now, the country...
Wow. All right, guys. Well, the Argentina update yet again, the Argentina update goes well. Javier Milei doing good things down there in Argentina. Oh my word, dude! I've got so many freaking Even Still Sunday shows clips to put up on YouTube. Oh, man. Man, I did 3,400 views and then boom, down to 1,500. Bongino report. Glass ceiling shattered. Kamala Harris makes history. First woman to certify her own election laws. Presidential Medal of Freedom Award winner photograph with Would-be Trump assassin months before arrest. For first time this century, Democrats don't challenge the electoral votes. Liberal Canadian PM Trudeau announces resignation. Steve Bannon calls on Trump to rescind Medal of Freedom award to George Soros. Tom Homan, Trump will deport Venezuelans whether Venezuela takes them back or not. Deluded MSNBC host claims Biden unequivocally more mentally fit than Trump. The lawfare against Rudy Giuliani continues apace. Kinzinger says he thought he'd have to shoot as many Americans as possible on January 6th. Speaker Johnson lays out ambitions timeline to pass reconciliation bill for Trump agenda. Hal McCormick won Pennsylvania Senate race. Schumer dodges when asked who leader of Democrat Party is. MSNBC on second thought Biden sure did a poor job at the border after all. Biden water heater ban to drive up energy prices for seniors poor. Yep, feds revealed chilling new timeline on how terrorists scoped out New Orleans kill zone. New Yorkers brace for first in the nation congestion pricing. DOJ Civil Rights Division to fight woke agenda under Trump. The Department of Justice Division tasked with protecting basic individual rights is expected to shift its position on key issues under Trump and, if confirmed, conservative lawyer Harmeet Dillon. The DOJ Civil Rights Division is likely to change its approach to diversity, voting, abortion, and trans topics, who has a dense track record of pushing Republican causes in these areas. Dude, good, man. That's freaking great news. Man, Harmeet Dillon at DOJ Civil Rights Division is incredible. Harmeet Dillon is amazing. For that position. She's a great lawyer. It's like, I don't agree with her on her religion and things like that, but like, man, is she a good lawyer. Yes, she was in 1927. Americans reveal their top concerns for 2025. Money, duh. Finances, duh. California wants to view air quality through racial equity lens. School told girls trans have more rights. No way, dude. School told girls transgenders have more rights as trans runner took away girls' varsity spot. Taylor Starling, a high school cross-country runner at Martin Luther King High School in Riverside, California, lost her spot on the varsity team earlier this season to a trans transfer student. Multiple parents of students at MLK have told Fox News that the school has allowed the trans athlete to compete on varsity cross-country team despite missing practices for academic reasons. These parents include Starling's father, longtime firefighter Ryan Starling, and construction subcontractor Dan Slavin, father of Caitlin, another runner on the team. The fact that the male athlete was able to compete while attending less than 25% of the practices is not fair. In what era, on what team, and what sport can you barely show up to practice and still compete? It's not fair. It's not right to those who work hard every day for the entire season. Both lawsuits are currently engaged in a lawsuit against Riverside. Ryan Starling told the loss of his daughter's varsity spot disrupted his entire family emotionally, as cross-country played a pivotal role in her life. When his daughter and other girls on the team confronted the school admins about it, he claimed they were told transgenders have more rights than cisgenders. Wow! Huh. That's insane. So the school told these parents transgenders have more rights than cisgenders. It's California, no wonder. Sex discrimination? Yeah, that's absolutely. Cisgender isn't a real thing. Oh my word. Trump has pledged to ban trans athletes from women's and girls' sports, and the new Republican-controlled Congress has indicated an intention to do so as well. The House rules package for the 119th Congress was posted this week. The first step in its order of business is a bill that would bring about Title IX revisions that would only allow athletes to compete in the gender category that they were assigned at birth. Dude, that's insane, man. Wow. Americans reveal their top concerns. 56% of Americans say inflation is their biggest financial concern. Oh. Biggest financial concern? Well, duh. 20,000 Michiganders got pink slips for Christmas, the most of any state. California removes college degree requirements for 30,000 state jobs. 30,000 state jobs? How are there even that many jobs? Oh, weird. Biden signs bill to increase Social Security benefits for public workers. You know what that is, California? I bet that's California trying to hire more illegal aliens. California doesn't want to require you to have a college degree to work for the state anymore because they want to hire illegal aliens, and none of the illegal aliens have college degrees, obviously. Wow, what a messed up state that is. This is what Democrats want for the whole country. Oh, man, dude, that Justin Trudeau thing was too much, man. I had no idea about that. Elon Musk is roiling European politics. With the Trump ally flooded X with posts criticizing European politicians, causing a diplomatic conundrum for the continent's leaders. Can Boeing be fixed? Aerospace leaders offer a repair manual. Unemployed office workers are having a harder time finding new jobs. The U.S. economy has added more than 2 million jobs over the past year, but more people who are out of work are having a hard time getting back in. As of November, more than 7 million Americans were unemployed, meaning they didn't have work or were trying to find it. More than 1.6 million of those jobless workers had been hunting for at least 6 months. The number of people searching for that long is up more than 50% since the end of 2022. Wow. On average, it now takes people about 6 months to find a job, roughly a month longer than it did during the post-pandemic hiring boom in early 23. The pain is largely in high-paying white-collar jobs, including in tech, law, and media. Wow. Law. Tech, law, and media, where businesses grew fast when the economy reopened from the pandemic, but now have less need for new hires. I don't know. The funny thing about that is, like, Montana is so insulated from that. Like, I think that, like, law firms that, like, grew really fast during the pandemic booms was, like, you had to be a huge firm. You had to be a massive, massive firm. Like, my firm didn't, like, some massive growth thing where just hiring, like, his lawyers, just hiring lawyers. It's like, no, we're slow and steady. It's wins the race type of thing. Like, why would, businesses grew fast during the, of course, like, oh, this is the most popular one on Wall Street Journal right now, too. By the way, this is the #1 most popular story. How do people survive plane crashes that kill nearly everyone else? A labor market that looks healthy in the headlines is, under the surface, weaker than it seems. The unemployment rate at 4.2% remains well above the average during the decade before the pandemic. But there is now just about 1 job per posting per unemployed worker, down from 2 in early 2022. Strong hiring has narrowed to a thin set of industries. The government's monthly jobs report on Friday will provide another snapshot of the market's health. My life is on complete pause, says Olivia Pollack, who was laid off in May after 3 months at a new company. Pollack, a 32-year-old from Chicago, worked in recruiting for tech companies and management consulting firms for about a decade. She has found some part-time contract work, but has spent most of the past 8 months hunting for full-time work. More than 4 million U.S. workers like Pollack are stuck working part-time because their hours were cut or because they can't find a full-time job. Well, dude, she works in recruiting for tech companies. I'm assuming, like, are you in Montana? Yes, Cedric. Yes, Cedric, I am in Montana. Recruiting for tech companies. I certainly hope she's looking for jobs in a different field than that. There's still plenty of jobs for people looking for hands-on services work, including in the healthcare and hospitality sectors. It's a much tougher slog for office jobs, where bosses are aiming to be leaner, in some cases replacing workers with AI. Josh McLarty, a 42-year-old from Atlanta, was laid off from his job as a testing manager at a robotics startup in April. He has applied to almost 500 jobs and interviewed for 6, but received no offers. Dang, that's brutal. I'm your neighbor. Hello from Idaho. Oh, nice, Cedric. Awesome. Hello. Man, I've got an ingrown hair or something happening on my cheek right here. It's kind of hurt. It's starting to get painful. This is not good. Not good. Taking advice from friends and family, McClarty applied for lower wage hourly jobs, including at a public supermarket, but had no luck there either. He worries that his resume suggests to hourly employers that he wouldn't be in it for the long haul. A smallish paycheck would end his eligibility for food stamps and Medicaid, but not be enough to pay his mortgage. You're in this really weird catch-22, he said. More people getting unemployment. It's like, dude, obviously you've got to sell your house. If you've been laid off and you can't find a job, you need to sell your house. Right? I mean, that's the unfortunate reality. I mean, unless you've got a year's worth of savings, and it's like, okay, I got laid off. Like, I've got a year here. I've got a year to get another job and a career that is enough to pay this mortgage. Otherwise, you got to sell the house. You don't sit there on frickin' food stamps and Medicaid. More people getting unemployment benefits are drawing on public aid longer. New data released last week from labor showed 1.8 million people continued to file for unemployment benefits, near the post-pandemic all-time high. Nobody got a year's worth of savings. It's 2024, man. Nobody got a year's worth of savings. It's 2025 now. Yeah. Right. No, I know. Nobody does. I don't. I mean, I don't. I do know other friends of mine that are lawyers that have a year's worth of savings. Frankly, I probably should, but thought you had that Rush Limbaugh radio money. I do. Nice, Num. Good for you, man. No one should have a year's worth of savings in cash. No. I mean, if you had a year's worth of savings, it'd obviously be invested, but I was getting potentially close to having a year's worth of savings before I bought this house and got married and all that crap. No. Rush Limbaugh radio money. No. The radio business is, I mean, it's great if you're a nationally syndicated radio host, but like, even for a statewide radio show in Montana, like, it's not as lucrative as you might think. Oh my gosh. More people getting unemployment. Wait, is something wrong with my audio? Hold on. Is something wrong with my audio? More people getting unemployment. It's like, dude, obviously you've got to sell your house. If you've been laid off and you can't find a job, you need to sell your house. Right? I mean, that's the unfortunate. Oh man. That's good. Year-over-year wage growth has fallen to 4%, down from 6% at the height of the early 20s hiring spree. That's a sign many employers don't have to jostle so hard to attract workers. Will Wiggins III. A 36-year-old visual designer. The heck is that? In Austin, has been freelancing on and off since 2019. Why doesn't he get a real job? After his position at an education nonprofit was limited. Yeah, why doesn't he get a real job? But he hasn't had any work at all since April. He now spends about 40 hours a week job searching and has applied for hundreds of full-time roles, at times when holding his infant daughter in one arm. There are times where you'll put in application in at 1 a.m. at 3 a.m. and get notifications saying it's been rejected. There's literally no way a person looked at my stuff. Wait, what? To date, the labor market has been weakening primarily due to less hiring, not widespread layoffs. But once companies decide to reduce payrolls, job cuts often snowball quickly, which could spark a much faster jump in the unemployment rate. The pessimistic way to look at weak hiring is that businesses are trying to reduce labor costs. If that's the reason, why shouldn't we get to that layoff stage at some point? In a survey of consumers by the Conference Board, 37% said jobs were plentiful, down from 57% in the middle of 2022. Families anxious about losing a paycheck are prone to tighten their budgets, threatening the steady flow of consumer spending that has powered U.S. economic growth. The job market's slack and lower wage gains have prompted the Federal Reserve to cut its benchmark interest rate by a full percentage point since September, even though inflation hasn't yet fallen back to the central bank's target. Job postings on Indeed for software dev, data science, and marketing roles were each at least 20% below pre-pandemic levels late last year. Government figures show that the hiring rate in the information industry is 30% lower than just before the pandemic, while finance hiring is down by 28%. Finance hiring is down by 28%. That seems like a lot. 28%. If you want your wages to, by the way, Grumple, what's up, man? Good to see you. If you want your wages to get a lot bigger, get a bigger job. That's how it works now. Normal raises don't even keep up with Biden inflation. Yeah, that's true, Grumple. They do say that like job switching is the best way to get like good raises. Like if you want to actually now, that's a general rule, or that's like the average, right? Or the median, or whatever you want to say. Like, that's what the data shows. But that's not every situation. There are lots of companies out there, lots of firms out there that reward longevity. I'm frankly at a firm that rewards longevity. So that's why, you see, at some firms, you see people that stay there their whole career, like stay there for 30 years, 40 years. I'm at one of those firms because the way the system is set up, it's just, it's pretty sweet gig for one. It's a great situation overall, but then it is a system that rewards for you the longer you're there. Now you could be and if you were to like quit and go to a different firm, it's like, okay, now you just lost all those like years of service with that one firm. That can be a negative. Maybe that's more just for lawyers. I don't know. That could be just like for lawyers, where it's a lot of times switching jobs, you're going to lose money, you're going to lose salary, or whatever. Geez, a lot of tech industry in these studies. So many people go to college to get into the tech industry. Oh yeah, for sure. There was a guy I used to talk to who was very firm on your salary should double every 7 years, which seemed unrealistic to me at the time. This was in IT space as a professional, not hell desk entry. Hell desk. That's what I did. That's as far as I got in IT, Grumple. I mean, I have had IT help desk jobs. I worked in the NOC. I worked in the network operations center of a really small, actually, in the grand scheme of things, but a small wireless internet service provider. So like, I got a little bit above the hell desk, but not much. I still haven't heard it called the hell desk. That's hilarious. Habimas, what's up? I work in tech. Last year, my pay increase was 3.1% as a top performer. Yeah? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think 3.1% I think that's a good pay raise, generally speaking. I have equity in my company. It's a tech startup. It's keeping chained to the current position. Oh, dude, that's awesome, Num. Dude, that's awesome, Num. Yeah, that gives you a huge incentive to stay there and make it work and make it succeed. That's awesome. I know a lot of folks who benefited by going from small or medium-sized firms to big law, but if you're just jumping from big firm to big firm or same size to same size, I agree. Right, pro law. It's like, for me, I mean, I suppose, like, dude, I don't even know if like I've ever even really talked about, well, it's like, okay, here's just the thing about like big law is just the hours, And let's just say, for example, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you're at a firm where you could do 1550, 1600, 1700 hours in that range and make great money where you're super happy. Or, and you get to live like in a great place, like, oh, excuse me. Great place like Montana, or go move to a big city, work significantly more hours than that, make a whole bunch more money, have way less free time, and then live in a big city. To me, it's not even a debate which option is better there, even without knowing the specifics of the money, even recognizing one would be substantially more money. I like working. I don't mind not having free time. I mean, I do too, Num. If you count like streaming, what I do as streaming as work, which it kind of is not. It's really not for me because I enjoy it. But like, technically, it's like, okay, I need to be doing something productive or focusing on producing something with my time as well. Because like, I work all day and then I'm streaming. Like, I worked all day. I was actually in the office at 7 a.m. today, worked all day. Now I'm streaming. It's now 7:45 p.m. So I've been working 13 hours now, and I'm still going. So like, I get that. Like, if I wasn't streaming on Twitch, like, I don't know, maybe I'd be like reading a book or something, but I would probably be trying to make money somehow or doing a side hustle or pursuing something of value or, you know, production. Maybe wouldn't even call it work necessarily, but like, I would try not to waste my time. But like, I just really enjoy it now because like, I don't have to like work my tail off at the office. I have all this time to be live streaming on Twitch. So I don't know. It's a pretty good setup. I don't really want to change anything. That's kind of where I'm at. And it's like, I know for sure if I went to another firm, it would be pretty difficult to make what I make now, probably. I don't know. I would assume so, though. Maybe not. Maybe not. Literally all of my civilian gigs have come from LinkedIn. That's crazy. Wow. Sorry, I'm just trying to read all these chats. I like being productive. I have so many things I like that doing the same work for one org isn't appealing to me anymore. Maybe I'm burnt out too. What do you mean? What do you mean by doing the same work for one organization isn't appealing to me anymore? What are you doing now if it's not the same work for one organization? What do you mean? I don't know what you mean by that, Prolo. Can you clarify? Habemus says, I've job hopped so much over the last 10 years to get the pay increases. It was definitely worth it. Now I'm at a place I really like and a company with a team I really like. At this point, yeah, I wish they'd pay me more, but I have believed so much flexibility and pull within my department that to me, that is worth keeping. But like, you know, pay me more also. Right, Habemus. Well, good for you, Habemus. I mean, that's great. You know, that's great. You job hop, got a bunch of big pay increases over the years as you job hop, and now you're in a place that you enjoy and you make decent, good money and you're happy. Like, dude, why would you leave? The job market slack and slower wage gains have prompted the Fed to cut its benchmark interest rate by a full percentage point since September, even though inflation hasn't yet fallen back to the central bank's target. Job postings for software development, data science, and marketing were 20% below pre-pandemic levels late last year. Government figures show 30% lower. Finance hiring, I read that already, sorry. Hiring rates, selected industry. Okay, here we go. Wow. Okay, so information, which is, I'm assuming, like tech, right? Financial information way down. Financial activities way down. Government slightly down. That's actually kind of surprising. Why is government hiring less now than they were? That's weird. Manufacturing down. Transportation down. Education and health down. Wow. So every industry is down, but just some more than others. Okay. Hiring has stayed resilient in fields such as mining, manufacturing, and transport. Two industries alone, healthcare and government, have been responsible for more than half of overall job creation over the past 12 months. Yeah, that's a good economy. Literally two things that produce nothing. Montana got a new chief justice today. Cool. Dude, Alex Jones took Ozempic. Okay, Prola answered. Thank you, Prola. Let me read this. Well, when I was at the big firm, I was doing the same financing transactions over and over. Now in-house, there's some more variety to my work. I'm doing a debt financing transaction one day, negotiating a tech contract the next, working with our marketing team on IP issues, energy regulation another day. But what I also mean is a side gig. I've invested in a friend's company recently. I've done more reading than when I worked at Big Law. Got a couple articles published this year too. Wow, that's awesome, man. Okay, I totally get that. Yeah, Pro Law. I totally get that. I mean, yeah, when you're in Big Law and there's that much work that was going on when you were there and in that field, and you had to be specialized in that one area, and there was just that much economic activity, and those firms like ramped up to do all of that work and generated all that money. It was like, yeah, you were doing nothing but that and making all that money, and you were there, and now you're doing in-house work and all this variety, and have more free time on the side too. Like, dude, that's awesome. That's the exact reason to get the hell out of Big Law. It's like, dude, I had offers from Big Law, Pro Law. When I lateraled to the firm I'm at now, I had multiple offers from Big Law. I was at a firm when I first started out of law school. I was at a firm in Kansas that was like national managing counsel for one of the country's largest mortgage loan servicers, and we handled all manner of escalated litigated matters and stuff. But there were a number of other firms that did that exact same sort of national managing counsel work for big mortgage servicing companies. And that was its own specialized thing, like managing litigation files for a company like that with all the different things that involved. And that was just a big deal. And so, and there was other firms that knew that I'd been doing nothing but that for 3.5 years. And I sort of cut my teeth in financial services litigation doing that. And so they made offers to me, and I was just like, dude, I'm not willing to like turn my life over to doing this crap. Like, even if you're going to pay me a lot of money, and they were going to pay me a whole bunch of money, I was like, no, I'm going back to Montana. I'm going to go back to Montana, and I'm going to get a job at the absolute best firm in the state in Montana, and I'll be happy. And I am, and it was the best decision I ever made. You know, so I'm totally with you, Pro Law. Like, I agree with you. Like, I think that's awesome that you left Big Law. I think losing that job was maybe the best thing that ever happened to you, even though it didn't seem so at the time, right? Yeah, I guess you almost have to job hop as an IT type thing. I'm not even doing corporate IT anymore. These days, I'm doing projects that are a product that is sold for contracts. I'm doing projects that are products that are sold for contracts. Making partner would be the path. Yeah, making partner is the path if you're in the traditional law practice. Absolutely. That's cool, though, Grumple. That's amazing. I'd be curious to learn more about like exactly like how you got into doing all that, Grumple, and how that works. But it sounds like you're doing well, and that's freaking awesome. Job hopping is an IT thing. I'm trying to job hop with startups to get equity. Dude, that's awesome. Good luck, man. Good luck. I've considered going into consulting and starting my own business doing that. I've seen a lot of tech teams get cut over the last few years and just hire contractors to come in on short-term 6-month contracts to pick up the slack until they ship the jobs overseas. So there'd be work, but the same reason I haven't gone into consulting with the like Deloitte is I don't like the idea of having to work with new people all the time. I like working with new people all the time. Yeah, long term, you're better off. I always thought it was nice to cut your teeth at Big Law, but making partner at a big law firm is kind of crazy. They're a different breed, ideally cutting teeth somewhere and then ending up where you're at a reputable, solid firm. Turning Woods, what's up, Turning Woods? Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Welcome. Good to have you. Yeah, pro law. I mean, that is the best path is to cut your teeth at Big Law. Because then you've established yourself, pro law, as you can pretty much go anywhere and do anything in the law world after being at Big Law, right? But yeah, the idea of being at a partner at Big Law, like, that's absurd, dude. It's like, I'm not trying to work like 2,500 hours like every year for the rest of my life. Like, I don't care how much money you're going to pay me. Like, and I recognize those guys make millions. Like, still doesn't even appeal to me. It's weird. Like, call me a millennial, I guess, or whatever. But like, even potentially making millions a year, I still am not interested in like having to work like 2,500 hours a year, period. You know, so it's like, holy crap, no way. And like, just live the life they do. But I don't know what's weird. What's weird, pro law, is like what I don't necessarily see is very many like big law attorneys sort of transfer into like mid law or small law. A lot of them end up leaving the private practice entirely, which I feel kind of sad. Like, I kind of feel really lucky, pro law, with my current practice, because like in Montana, for number one, Montana is like in a lot of ways like behind the country in a lot of ways. And I think like in Montana, like the practice of law is like much more of like the way you would traditionally think of practicing law for lawyers, much more so than like in Miami. Like, because I practice law in Miami and I practice law in like Wichita, Kansas and stuff. And like in those places, like practicing law looked exactly like nothing like what you would think of like practicing law was like, if you like, you know, think of lawyers as what you see on TV and crap like that. But like, or even more just traditional notions of what it meant to actually practice law. Not even just like what TV shows, but like what lawyers actually used to do. You know, like in Montana, like people still send letters here and stuff like that without emailing it. Now that's even gone away in the past like 7 years. When I first got back to Montana like 6 or 7 years ago, like people were still sending like regular letters back and forth, like just that type of a thing, you know. We still didn't have there was no electronic filing at the time, and so I feel really lucky to have like gotten into like a really good law firm that's really, really great for the state, and having like more of a traditional law practice and being a partner at a firm. Like, I feel so grateful for that. Like, it's just weird that like you don't see, you know, big law lawyers very often like come to a firm like that that has, you know, 100 lawyers, 200 lawyers, 300 lawyers, or at a firm that has 50 lawyers or something like that. A lot of times you see most lawyers that I know and friends that I know that were in big law ended up going out of private practice. I do know some of my friends from law school that went big law that are now at like other good law firms and still in private practice. I'm in office on a 9 to 8 schedule, so long days with the brutal commute, but chat should resolve. Not even streaming much lately. Oh, wow, Grumple. Yeah, that is. Those are long days. Dang, good for you. Putting in the hours, Grumple. Good for you. I need to add that quote function, Grumple. How do I do that? Call me a millennial. How do I add that thing? I'm using Grumple. I'm using Streamlabs chatbot. I'm using the Streamlabs chatbot. I don't know. I've got console. I've got dashboard. I've got subscribers. I've got commands. I've got timers. I've got quotes. I've got extra quotes. I've got giveaway. I've got song requests. I got sound files. I got queue. I got counter. I got currency. I got mini games. I got poll. I got betting. I got events. I got users. I got mod tools. I got noties. I got Discord. I got scripts. I'm assuming actually in the quotes. No. This is something else. Oh, maybe you can. How do you? Yeah, maybe you can allow people. How do you make people add quotes? Nope. Let me read chat here. Hubby, miss, that's hilarious. Oh, interesting. I have the first law firm I was at, a solid mid-tier firm in New England, had a core group of former big law attorneys. They probably were the rainmakers there, brought in work saying they have the experience at the lower cost prices. Oh, nice. Yeah, for sure, pro law, for sure. That's the classic marketing technique, pro law. That's the classic marketing technique of mid law. Yes. That's how like the firm I was at in Kansas marketed too, is that like we basically we're big law quality for Midwest prices or whatever. It's like that's the most classic lawyer marketing tool. In that case, it probably was true. In a lot of cases, it's not. A bot, Stream Elements does, Botrix does, I think Nightbot. I use OBS Studio on Linux. Baller. Dude, if I wanted to get that set up, Grumple, would you be willing to help me? If I like bought a new computer to put Linux on with OBS and stuff, would you? I don't know. Like I also like, I just need to improve my stream a little bit. I feel like. I think making people add quotes sounds like a freaking awesome way to build community though, Grumple. Like how did that, like allowing people to add quotes sounds like a freaking awesome. I wonder if, let's see if ChatGPT knows if can do it. Oh, am I not logged into my ChatGPT account here? Okay, can Streamlabs chatbot allow people in my chat to add quotes that the bot then occasionally says in Twitch chat? Well, there you go. ChatGPT just laid it out for you. All right, enable the quote systems. I've done that. Navigate to the quotes tab. Enable quotes is on. Allow viewers to add quotes. Create a custom command that lets viewers add quotes. Okay, what was the quote? What was the command that you had suggested? Quote, okay. Quote, add. All right. Add a new command. Cost 0. Stream chat. Enabled group. Info. Wait, what? Wait, what? I'm so confused. Wait, why did it give me the back thing and then why did it say successfully added a quote? What the freak? I have no, I really don't think that's, yeah, I think it is. I think it is, Grumple. If you do quote add. Yeah, I think you have to do quote add. Lecture is a beast. You could do quote ads. Let me see now. Quotes. Yeah. It is working. You have to do quote ad. Okay, now I have to do. Timers. Where's my timers? Timers. All right, it should be set up. It should be all right. I should have quotes set up now. That wasn't actually that too bad. Oh, and then just quote does. No. Something's still not right. I need to change this command from not from quote to quote add. All right, I think it should be working now. I just changed the permissions. Let me see. It should no longer do. Oh, there's a 10-second cooldown. Oh my gosh. All right, let me get the frickin' 10-second cooldown off of this stupid thing. There we go. Kiswan, what's up? What's up, Kiswan? What the heck? Prolaw, try it again. Try it again, Prolaw. For some reason that didn't work. Oh, nice. Oh, good. It worked. Okay, good. Nice. Okay, good. It worked. Is that a real George W. Bush quote? I have opinions of my own, strong opinions, but I don't always agree with them. That's hilarious. Fantastic quote. Okay. All right. It's working. Yes, Kiswan, it did go smoothly. ChatGPT helped me out.
Video and images and sound, all of that data could be used to train the fundamental knowledge, the foundational knowledge of an AI. But there are, in fact, two other scaling laws that has now emerged. And it's somewhat intuitive. The second scaling law is post-training scaling law. Post-training scaling law uses techniques like reinforcement learning, human feedback. Basically, the AI produces and generates answers based on a human query. The human then, of course, gives a feedback. It's much more complicated than that, but that reinforcement learning system with a fair number of very high-quality prompts causes the AI to refine its skills. It could fine-tune its skills for particular domains. It could be better at solving math problems, better at reasoning, so on and so forth. And so it's essentially like having a mentor or having a coach give you feedback after you're done going to school. And so you get tests, you get feedback, you improve yourself. We also have reinforcement learning AI feedback, and we have synthetic data generation. These techniques are rather akin to, if you will, self-practice. You know the answer to a particular problem, and you continue to try it until you get it right. And so an AI could be presented with a very complicated and a difficult problem that is verifiable functionally, and it has an answer that we understand, maybe proving a theorem, maybe solving a geometry problem. And so these problems would cause the AI to produce answers, and using reinforcement learning, it would learn how to improve itself. That's called post-training. Post-training requires an enormous amount of computation, but the end result produces incredible models. We now have a third scaling law, and this third scaling law has to do with what's called test time scaling. Test time scaling is basically when you're being used. When you're using the AI has the ability to now apply a different resource allocation. Instead of improving its parameters, now it's focused on deciding how much computation to use to produce the answers it wants to produce. Reasoning is a way of thinking about this. Long thinking is a way to think about this. Instead of a direct inference or one-shot answer, you might reason about it. You might break down the problem into multiple steps. You might generate multiple ideas and evaluate, your AI system would evaluate which one of the ideas that you generated was the best one. Maybe it solves the problem step by step, so on and so forth. And so now test time scaling has proven to be incredibly
It looks
effective.
like alligator leather. Yeah. Well, when you're making like $1 billion a day, I guess you can
as
wear
we
that.
see incredible achievements from ChatGPT to O1 to O3, and now Gemini Pro, all of these systems.
Hold on. Let me read chat. Sorry.
This journey, step by step of pre-training to post-training to test time scaling. Well, the amount of computation that we need, of course, is incredible. And we would like, in fact,
Oh, wait, so then what do you do? Grumple? Do I just limit it to mods then? I could limit it to subscribers. I could limit it to moderators. I could limit it to VIPs. Maybe I'll just limit it to subscribers for now. So, or what do you do then?
Fact that society has the ability to scale the amount of computation to produce more and more novel and better intelligence.
I don't know why it looks like it's coming from my name. I don't get that, Grumple. Yeah, why does it do that?
Intelligence.
Do all the Streamlabs bots look like that? Like it's coming from my name?
This is the most valuable asset that we have.
Why does the bot do that?
It can be applied to solve a lot of very challenging problems. And so, scaling law. It's driving enormous demand for NVIDIA computing. It's driving enormous demand for this incredible chip we call Blackwell. Let's take a look at Blackwell. Well, Blackwell is in full production. It is incredible what it looks like. So first of all, there's some, every single cloud service provider now have systems up and running. We have systems here from about 15 computer makers. It's being made about 200 different SKUs, 200 different configurations. They're liquid-cooled, air-cooled, x86, NVIDIA Grace CPU versions, NVLink 36 by 2, NVLink 72 by 1, whole bunch of different types of systems so that we can accommodate just about every single data center in the world. Well, these systems are being currently manufactured in some 45 factories. It tells you how pervasive artificial intelligence is.
Wait, what?
And how much the
why is it now doing dollar quote? It's supposed to do a random quote, isn't it? With that message, with that? The frick?
Industry is jumping onto artificial intelligence in this new computing model. Well, the reason why we're driving it so hard is because we need a lot more computation. And it's very clear that
his jacket,
that
it looks like alligator leather.
Janine?
You know.
You know, it's hard to tell. You don't ever want to reach your hands into a dark place. Hang on a second. Is this a good idea? All right.
Good job. No, it's 8. Yeah, you're not.
Wait for it. Wait for it. I thought I was worthy. Apparently, Yonir didn't think I was worthy. All right. This is my show and tell. This is a show and tell. So, this NVLink system, this right here, this NVLink.
I can't look at you. You should show this stream what you're doing.
Link system. This is GB200 NVLink 72. It is 1.5 tons, 600,000 parts, approximately equal to 20 cars, 120 kilowatts. It has a spine behind it that connects all of these GPU together, 2 miles of copper cable.
I can't stop. Stop looking.
5,000 cables.
Look at everybody.
This is being manufactured in 45 factories around the world. We build them, we liquid cool them, we test them, we disassemble them, ship them in parts to the data centers because it's 1.5 tons. We reassemble it outside the data centers and install them. The manufacturing is insane. But the goal of all of this is because the scaling laws are driving computing so hard that this level of computation, Blackwell over our last generation, improves the performance per watt by a factor of 4. Performance per watt by a factor of 4, performance per dollar by a factor of 3. That basically says that in one generation, we reduce the cost of training these models by a factor of 3. Or if you want to increase the size of your model by a factor of 3, it's about the same cost. But the important thing is this. These are generating tokens that are being used by all of us when we use ChatGPT or when we use Gemini, use our phones in the future. Just about all of these applications are going to be consuming these AI tokens. And these AI tokens are being generated by these systems. And every single data center is limited by power. And so if the perf per watt of Blackwell is 4 times our last generation, then the revenue that could be generated, the amount of business that can be generated in the data center is increased by a factor of 4. And so these AI factory systems really are factories today. Now the goal of all of this is so that we can create one giant chip. The amount of computation we need is really quite incredible. And this is basically one giant chip. If we would have had to build a chip, here we go. Sorry, guys. You see that? That's cool. Look at that, disco lights in here.
That's crazy, Grumple. That's crazy.
If we had to build this as one chip, obviously this would be the size of the wafer, but this doesn't include the impact of yield. It would have to be probably 3 or 4 times this size. But what we basically have here is 72 Blackwell GPUs or 144 dies. This one chip here is 1.4 exaflops. The world's largest supercomputer, fastest supercomputer, only recently, this entire room supercomputer only recently achieved an exaflop plus. This is 1.4 exaflops of AI floating point performance. It has 14 terabytes of memory, but here's the amazing thing. The memory bandwidth is 1.2 petabytes per second. That's basically the entire internet traffic that's happening right now. The entire world's internet traffic is being processed across these chips, okay? And we have 130 trillion transistors in total, 2,592 CPU cores, whole bunch of networking. And so these, I wish I could do this. I don't think I will. So these are the Blackwells. These are our ConnectX networking chips. These are the NVLink, and we're trying to pretend about the NVLink spine, but that's not possible, okay? And these are all of the HBM memories, 14 terabytes of HBM memory. This is what we're trying to do, and this is the miracle. This is the miracle of the Blackwell system.
Heck yeah, Ryland. Heck yeah, Ryland.
Right here. It is the largest single chip the world's ever made. But yet, the miracle is really, in addition to that, this is the Grace Blackwell system. Well, the goal of all of this, of course, is so that we can, thank you, thanks. Boy, is there a chair I could sit down for a second? Can I have a Michelob Ultra? How is it possible that we're in the Michelob Ultra Stadium? It's like coming to NVIDIA and we don't have a GPU for you. So we need an enormous amount of computation because we want to train larger and larger models. And these inferences used to be one inference, but in the future, the AI is going to be talking to itself. It's going to be thinking. It's going to be internally reflecting, processing. So today, when the tokens are being generated at you, so long as it's coming out at 20 or 30 tokens per second, it's basically as fast as anybody can read. However, in the future, and right now with GPT-01, you know, with the new Gemini Pro and the new the 01, 03 models, they're talking to themselves, reflecting, they're thinking. And so, as you can imagine, the rate at which the tokens could be ingested is incredibly high. And so we need the token rates, the token generation rates, to go way up. And we also have to drive the cost way down simultaneously so that the quality of service can be extraordinary, the cost to customers can continue to be low, and AI will continue to scale. And so that's the fundamental purpose, the reason why we created NVLink. Well, one of the most important things that's happening in the world of enterprise is agentic AI. Agentic AI basically is a perfect example of test time scaling. AI is a system of models. Some of it is understanding, interacting with the customer, interacting with the user. Some of it is maybe retrieving information from storage, a semantic AI system like a RAG. Maybe it's going on to the internet. Maybe it's studying a PDF file. And so it might be using tools. It might be using a calculator. And it might be using a generative AI to generate charts and such. And it's taking the problem you gave it, breaking it down step by step, and it's iterating through all these different models. Well, in order to respond to a customer in the future, in order for AI to respond, it used to be ask a question, answers start spewing out. In the future, you ask a question, a whole bunch of models are going to be working in the background. And so test time scaling, the amount of computation used for inferencing, is going to go through the roof. It's going to go through the roof because we want better and better answers. Well, to help the industry build agentic AI, our go-to-market is not direct to enterprise customers. Our go-to-market is we work with software developers in the IT ecosystem to integrate our technology.
Hey, Num, I got a question. Can you try to add a quote, Num? Because I've got permission set to moderators, but in this list, VIP is actually above moderator, and so I'm curious if only moderators can add quotes or if VIPs can add quotes as well. How is Grumple not a VIP? Here, let me VIP Grumple. How do I VIP you? All right, Grumple. Ooh, boom. There it is. Grumple with the VIP. I passed my machine learning and AI engineering certification. I didn't get into LLMs, though. Wow, that's awesome. Good for you, Num. That's badass. Twitch YouTube censorship is so out of control, I can't hear this guy talk about PDF files without my first thought being a reference to a child predator. I don't get it, Altair. I'm not connecting the dots.
To make possible new capabilities, just like we did with CUDA libraries, we now want to do that with AI libraries. And just as the computing model of the past has APIs that are doing computer graphics or doing linear algebra or doing fluid dynamics, in the future, on top of those acceleration libraries, CUDA acceleration libraries, we'll have AI libraries. We've created 3 things for helping the ecosystem build agentic AI. NVIDIA NIMs, which are essentially AI microservices all packaged up. It takes all of this really complicated CUDA software.
Oh, a
CUDA
PDF
DNA.
file. Oh. I got it. Quote, add, I like Biden. What the freak? Do we have any mods here? Here, let me try this. Num, let me make you a mod. Num, let me make you a mod, Grumple, too. Num, let's welcome. Hey, everybody. Let's welcome 2 brand new mods, Num and Grumple. Lecture fan granted mod privileges to Grumple. Lecture fan granted mod privileges to Num. Pro Law, you also get mod. A special welcome to Pro Law. Welcome, Pro Law, the new mod. Freedom fan getting mod too. Freedom fan and VIP, bro. Freedom fan, how are you not VIP, bro? Freedom fan, how are you not VIP? VIP, Freedom fan. Give Freedom fan a big welcome for the new VIP and mod. All right. Wait, Prolod, are you not VIP? Oh, you can't. I forgot that you can't show your VIP and your mod, though. You have to choose if. All right, can you guys try to add a quote? See if you guys can add a quote, please. You can't be both. I forgot that you can't be both. Heck yeah, Freedom fan. Heck yeah. Riding fences VIP. Zacchaeus, well on her way. Zacchaeus, well on her way. Cedric the reindeer, well on his way. Okay, all right, it's working. It's working. I don't know what quote to choose. Pro-Law, you already got one of the best ones from George W.
And then,
Lecture handing out VIPs like Oprah handing out new cars. You get VIP. You get VIP. True. That's how I sort of do it. Just sort of like every once in a while, what I'll do is I'm like, whoever's here in chat, I'll just hand out like 5 of them or whatever.
Cutlass or TensorRT-LM or Triton or all of these different really complicated software, and the model itself, we package it up, we optimize it, we put it into a container, and you could take it wherever you like. And so we have models for vision, for understanding languages, for speech, for animation, for digital biology, and we have some new exciting models coming.
Oh, you must have to, Freedom Fan, yours must not have worked because you're showing VIP. Yeah, Freedom Fan, you must have to show your mod. You have to show your mod instead of VIP for have it to work apparently.
For physical AI. And these AI models run in every single cloud. Because
right, Zach, yes, right.
In every single cloud. It's available in every single OEM. So you could literally take these models, integrate it into your software packages, create AI agents that run on Cadence, or they might be
Bemis, I love that.
Or they might be SAP agents, and they could deploy it to their customers and run it wherever the customers want to run the software. The next layer is what we call NVIDIA NeMo. NeMo is essentially...
okay, Grandpa, okay.
A digital employee onboarding and training evaluation system. In the future, these AI agents are essentially digital workforce that are working alongside your employees, doing things for you on your behalf. And so the way that you would bring these specialized agents these special agents into your company is to onboard them, just like you onboard an employee. And so we have different libraries that helps these AI agents be trained for the type of language in your company, maybe the vocabulary.
Wow, dude. So NVIDIA is literally going to be like selling little AI agents to replace humans? What in the world?
Vocabulary is unique to your company. The business process is different. The way you work is different. So you would give them examples of what the work product should look like.
This is crazy, man. This is kind of crazy.
And then you would evaluate them, so on and so forth.
Working alongside your teams to replace them. Yeah, exactly.
These are the things that you're not allowed to do. These are things you're not allowed to say. And we even give them access to certain information.
That's cool, Grumple. You don't have to do any mod work if you don't want to. I just wanted you to be able to add quotes, man.
Okay, so that entire pipeline, digital employee pipeline, is called NeMo. In a lot of ways, the IT department of every company is going to be the HR department of AI agents in the future. Today, they manage and maintain a bunch of software from the IT industry. In the future, they'll maintain, nurture, onboard, and improve a whole bunch of digital agents and provision them to the companies to use. Okay, and so
provision them.
Your IT department is going to become kind of like AI agent HR. And on top of that, we provide a whole bunch of...
He's all smiling and laughing. Your HR department is going to be AI HR. He's all smiling and laughing. Wow.
Of blueprints that our ecosystem could take advantage of. All of this is completely open source, and so you could take it.
Wow, really, Freedom Fan. Yeah, I was actually going to get monitor headphones and try to listen from my mixer, actually, Freedom Fan, because right now, dude, here's the deal, what I need to do and Grumple, if you could help me with this too. Right now, I'm using Voice Meter Banana, which I'd want to get rid of Voice Meter Banana and do it all through hardware. I think I need monitor headphones because right now these headphones are physically plugged into my gaming computer where I play games and where I'm operating right now. And same with my mic. And so then I use Voice Meter Banana to take my microphone and duplicate it out over my 4K Pro Mark 60 and out to my headphones, where I'd rather be getting that audio instead of getting it through Voice Meter Banana, get it straight through there. And then I could send the audio not through my 4K Pro 60, through that, but directly from my mixer, not from my PC, right? I don't know, dude. This audio stuff is so flippin' complicated. My head about explodes trying to think about it sometimes. Trying to do this dual PC setup. The last thing you want is IT department to replace the HR department. Dude, I would love it if the IT guys replace the HR ladies. I would love that. Dude's one step shy of giggling like a schoolgirl about he really is. Look at the way he starts laughing and stuff when he says that, you know, you're gonna have AI agents instead of HR. Right, Prolaw, right.
Companies to use, okay? And so your IT department is going to become kind of like AI agent HR. And on top of that, we provide a whole bunch of blueprints that our ecosystem could take advantage of. All of this is completely open source, and so you could take it and modify the blueprints. We have blueprints for all kinds of different types of agents. Well, today we're also announcing that we're doing something that's really cool and I think really clever. We're announcing a whole family of models.
Okay, I'll get that, Grumple. I need to get a Go XLR. I also need to get like a Steam Deck. I need to upgrade a bunch of things about my stream, frankly.
That are
I'm happy with the way my stream sounds right now. I just think it could be better. I mean, I'm pretty happy with how things sound right now. Let me hear it really quick. Happy with how things sound right now. Let me hear it really quick. Actually, that sounds terrible. Actually, that sounds flipping terrible. Flip, man. Why didn't you guys tell me? I adjusted my Why didn't you guys freaking tell me? All right, mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check. Is that any better? Is that any better? Is that any better? Mic check. Is that any better? Is that any better? Is that any better? Yeah, why didn't you guys freaking tell me my mic was sounding so horrible? How much better is that? Jeez. Why didn't you guys tell me?
Based off of Llama, the NVIDIA Llama Nemotron language foundation models. Llama
Dude, that's awesome, Nom. Hell yeah.
3.1 is a complete phenomenon. The download of Llama 3.1 from Meta, 650,000 times, something like that. It has been derived and turned into other models, about 60,000 other different models. It is singularly the reason why just about every single enterprise and every single industry has been activated to start working on AI. Well, the thing that we did was we realized that the Llama models really could be better fine-tuned for enterprise use. And so we fine-tune them using our expertise and our capabilities, and we turn them into the Llama Nemotron suite of open models. There are small ones that interact in very, very fast response time, extremely small. They're what we call super.
Yeah. No, thank you guys for commenting. Thank you, Cedric the Reindeer. Thank you. I mean, I've got a very expensive microphone, very expensive mixer and stuff. So I've spent a bunch of money to try to get at least good audio quality from my voice on my stream, and I think I'm there. Again, I just think that there could be kind of better ways to go about doing this. And frankly, I'd like to stop using Voice Meter Banana entirely. Not even because of how my stream sounds for you guys, but because Voice Meter Banana just sucks to have to use, and it quiets everything down. And then you have to try to then you have to try to do this compensate it up. It's just annoying as all hell.
Nemotron Supers, they're basically your mainstream versions of your models, or your ultra models.
Yeah, streamline it and make it so I don't have to use Voice Meter Banana is what I want.
Ultra model could be used to be a teacher model for a whole bunch of other models. It could be a reward model, evaluator, a judge for other models to.
All right, Grumple, I'll get one.
And decide whether it's a good answer or not. Basically give feedback to other models. It could be distilled in a lot of different ways. Basically, a teacher model, a knowledge distillation model. Very large, very capable. And so all of this is now available online. Well, these models are incredible. It's number one in leaderboards for chat, leaderboard for instruction, leaderboard for retrieval. So the different types of functionalities necessary that are used in AI agents around the world, these are going to be incredible models for you. We're also working with the ecosystem. All of our NVIDIA AI technologies are integrated into the IT industry. We have great partners and really great work being done at ServiceNow, at SAP, at Siemens for industrial AI. Cadence is doing great work. Synopsys is doing great work. I'm really proud of the work that we do with Perplexity. As you know, they revolutionized search. Yeah, really fantastic stuff. Codium, every software engineer in the world. This is going to be the next giant AI application. Next giant AI service, period, is software coding. 30 million software engineers around the world. Everybody is going to have a software.
The mini sounds like all I'd need then.
If not, obviously you're going to be way less productive and create less or good code. And so this is 30 million. There's 1 billion knowledge workers in the world. It is very, very clear AI agents is probably the next robotics industry and likely to be a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. Well, let me show you some of the blueprints that we've created and some of the work that we've done with our partners with these AI agents.
The Hale PR40. The Hale PR40 is a dynamic microphone.
Okay.
CTV rating with 23 this time. Whoa, CTV has gone from 9 with the rate up to 23. Thank you, CTV. Appreciate that, man. That's huge, bro. Thank you. Hope you had a good stream, man. Moon Reaper, what's up?
That was the first pitch.
SV, what's up, SV?
That was not generated. I just felt that none of you were impressed. Okay, so AI was created in the cloud and for the cloud. AI is created in the cloud and for the cloud. And for enjoying AI on phones, of course, it's perfect. Very, very soon, we're going to have a continuous AI that's going to be with you. And when you use those Meta glasses, you could, of course, point at something, look at something, and ask it, whatever information you want. And so AI is perfect in the cloud. It was created in the cloud. It's perfect in the cloud. However, we would love to be able to take
CTV with the Prime. Yeah, I'm down, CTV. I haven't tried it either yet.
You could also put it inside your
Thanks for the primer, man.
The thing that we want to do more than anything is put it on our PC as well. And so, as you know, Windows 95 revolutionized the computer industry. It made possible this new suite of multimedia services, and it changed the way that applications was created forever. Windows 95, this model of computing, of course, is not perfect for AI. And so the thing that we would like to do is we would like to have, in the future, your AI basically become your AI assistant. And instead of just the 3D APIs and the sound APIs and the video APIs, you would have generative APIs for 3D and generative APIs for language and generative AI for sound and so on and so forth. And we need a system that makes that possible while leveraging the massive investment that's in the cloud. There's no way that the world can create yet another way of programming AI models. It's just not going to happen.
Heck yeah, CTV.
Figure out a way to make Windows PC a world-class AI PC. It would be completely
nice, Prolot. Nice.
The answer is Windows.
Nice.
It's Windows WSL2. Windows WSL2. Windows WSL2 basically is 2 operating systems within one. It works perfectly. It's developed for developers, and it's developed so that you can have access to bare metal. WSL2 has been optimized for cloud-native applications. It is optimized for, and very importantly, it's been optimized for CUDA. And so WSL2 supports CUDA perfectly out of the box. As a result, everything that I showed you with NVIDIA NIMS, NVIDIA NeMo, the blueprints that we developed that are going to be up in ai.nvidia.com, so long as the computer fits it, so long as you can fit that model, and we're going to have many models that fit, whether it's vision models or language models or speech models or these animation digital human models, all kinds of different types of models are going to be perfect for your PC, and you download it and it should just run. And so our focus is to turn Windows WSL2, Windows PC, into a target, first-class platform that we will support and maintain for as long as we shall live. And so this is an incredible thing for engineers and developers everywhere. Let me show you something that we can do with that. This is one of the examples of a blueprint we just made for you. NVIDIA AI for your PCs. Hundreds of millions of PCs in the world with Windows, so we could get them ready for AI. OEMs, all the PC OEMs we work with, just basically all of the world's leading PC OEMs, are going to get their PCs ready for this.
Right on, CTV.
So
Thank you so
AI
much.
PCs are coming to a home near you.
Think about working across state borders in South Dakota to avoid state income tax. Do it. Do it.
Linux is good. Okay, let's talk about physical AI. Speaking of Linux, let's talk about physical AI. So, physical AI. Imagine, whereas your large language model, you give it your context, your prompt on the left, and it generates tokens one at a time to produce the output.
Thank you, Susan. Appreciate the follow. Welcome.
The amazing thing is this model in the middle is quite large, has billions of parameters. The context length is incredibly large because you might decide to load in a PDF. In my case, I might load in several PDFs before I ask it a question. Those PDFs are turned into tokens. The attention, the basic
Thank you for the follow.
Of a transformer has
SV.
every single token find its relationship and relevance against every other token. So you could have hundreds of thousands of tokens, and the computational load increases quadratically. And it does this, all of the parameters, all
right, guys, I gotta get off. Here. Let me continue the raid love though. You guys raid with me to somebody else here, real quick. But I'm calling it. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I'll do another real stream tomorrow night. I'm very, very likely doing another real stream tomorrow night. We'll raid Letty. She's cool. She's on the right. FYI.
Did you not watch the kill cam? Watch the kill cam.
Oh, thought that was a zip. It's not.